Now that football season's here, it's time to put some serious thought into what you'll be ordering from Uber Eats. Whatever's on your game day menu this NFL season, Uber Eats has you covered. They'll deliver whatever you order quickly and just how you want it, so you can stay in the game. Tonight, I'll be eating Uber Eats, the official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Uber Eats is bringing you game day deals all season. Order now.
Because, that's kind of what we have to do around here. And Timothy Foster, good to see you. And hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. America's Quilt, how are you? Thanks for coming on in. Sensational Sherry, good to see you. And we're running out of time here. Totally running out of time. But that's okay. Toe tag. Hey, we made it. We made it through the rundown. And we are about 29 seconds away. Karen A. Dahlman is here talking Ouija boards all night long. We're even going to have a tarot card battle tonight, her and I. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. By the way, Karen, that's the card that I always say comes up. And I just picked up the deck. So there you go. We're going to have some fun. Super Chat is open. Get all ready, people, because Mr. Bumblefoot is coming here right now. So 3 seconds. Get your horns up. Let's do this thing right now. Central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, KPNL, and Revolution Radio. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out the Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Oh, the queen of the Ouija board is here tonight. Karen A. Dahlman will explain the history of and the safe use of Ouija boards. Now, Karen joins us at least once every October, and she is the author of The Spirits of the Ouija, 4 Decades of Communication. She has maintained a strong spiritual connection with her spirit friends throughout her entire life, beginning her professional career in 1989 as an art psychotherapist, licensed counselor, hypnotherapist, and artist. After building the experience and owning a successful company in telecommunications, Karen continues to teach about communication, but in a much different way. Miss Karen A. Dahlman, it is so good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. How are you?
Hey, Dave. Great to be here. Hello, everybody out there. I'm so excited to be with you guys. And by the way, my cat Bear is here. He's saying hello. Say hello, Bear.
Very nice. Hi, Bear.
That's about it. He's like, I'm done. He's out of here now. He may come back later, you guys, but it's great to be here. Thank you.
I'm going to apologize for my voice right off the bat. Earlier today, felt fine. Was great. Great. And then all of a sudden, I eat some dinner, and I could feel it coming. And now, here I am, struggling to talk. Doesn't work well in radio, but I'm going to do my best for you tonight.
Wonderful.
So what have you been up to? It's your time of the year right now.
Oh, I love you guys. This is probably my favorite time of the year. I actually love it because it's like everything gets a little cooler, gets a little spookier. The veil thins out a little bit. And listen, I'm always doing the Ouija board and I love doing the Ouija board on Halloween. So as you know, Dave, I will be doing that this Halloween in Sedona, Arizona with some friends.
I know. I'm a little jealous because usually on Halloween we have you here.
Right.
And just 2 years ago, you actually read our Music Man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal. And that was intense. So I don't know how we're going to top that, but we'll figure it out.
Oh, it's good. It might happen. We'll see. We'll see what happens tonight.
So for you, I mean, a lot of people get really weirded out by the Ouija board. And,
Mhm.
a friend of a friend of a friend, had light bulbs exploding and shadow people running around, and it just got ugly for everybody. But that's not really what it's about. You've really never had that type of experience with this board. So let's introduce you to everybody. How did you get started in all of this?
Yeah, I haven't really had those really weird, spooky experiences. I was looking for them. I was trying to have those. I mean, that's what I thought you did with the board. But no, I just kind of stumbled upon it. So at the age of 8, it was in 1973. I was introduced to the board by some girlfriends down the street, and it worked really well for me, you guys. It just started working really well. And that's not typical. A lot of times you have to practice, but it worked for me really well out of the box, and it worked for them. And we started talking to one of their dead sisters. I didn't even know they had a dead sister, but this girl, this is the coolest part, you guys. This is what got me hooked. So one of the girls in the room, she had a twin who died at birth, shortly after birth, a few months later. And she was talking to us through the board, supposedly. And she was also growing up on the other side. So she was not only deceased, transitioned, but she was now 10 years old, like the other girl in the room was. So that got me hooked. I was like, not only could you communicate with the deceased, transitioned, I call them now, but that there was a life afterwards. They were actually living, and there was a life, and they were growing up and changing. And I thought that was amazing. And so I had to get my first board. By the way, you guys, back here, if you can see it, this board right here is my first board I got in December 25th, 1973 from Santa Claus. And I've been hooked and doing the Ouija board ever since, you guys. It's 48 years now, Dave. I'm in my 48th year of using this tool.
I'm not going to tell you how old I am then. 48.
I probably trump you on age.
I'm 48. You started using it by the time I was born.
Okay, you were in utero. You weren't even born yet, and I was using the board. Here we go.
There you go. There you go. And I'm okay with that. I'm quite
Are you
okay.
with that?
You are amazing at what you do, and you have gained such a wonderful reputation around the paranormal world as being a very professional conduit between spirit and humanity through the Ouija board. Did you ever see this being your true passion in life? I know you were addicted to it, but did you see it turning out the way it did?
I'll tell you what my true passion is. My true passion is really exploring the unseen dimensions and learning what's out there. And so exploration and discovery is my passion. And then when I realized, combine that with using the tool, the Ouija board is a tool. It's really not, the board does nothing, you guys. And we'll talk a lot about that tonight. And I'm going to probably reiterate that 1,000 times. It's just that it allowed me to use it as my permission slip to do my own channeling. So I'm really enamored by channeling and bringing forth this source wisdom and guides and angels and all kinds of different consciousness you can communicate with in the board. And so that is truly what I'm excited and passionate about. It became the Ouija board as a child, but that shifted in about 1986 when I started realizing there was so much more to this tool than just talking to a dead person. There was so much more. And that became my passion, the path of that.
How did you realize that you were actually talking to real spirit rather than just the nerves on your finger moving the planchette?
Well, okay, so let's talk about that, because people will say, well, the board works because of ideomotor, okay? And what that means is basically your brain controls the fine muscle movements on your fingertips is coming out through the board. So you're moving the planchette, they say. So you could call it your subconscious mind, your unconscious, your ideomotor effect. I'm not opposed to that, because in the end, what I get, the results and the messages I get, they're very significant and they resonate with my clients. And so that's all that matters to me. If they're getting a message, I can't tell you. I could tell you how I think it works, but I can't prove anything, right? I can't prove it. But let's just say something's coming through and it's been very positive, beautiful, helpful. It helps people sometimes heal from grief. It helps people sometimes become more empowered in their lives. And so that's what it is for me. So explaining it as external spirits, or maybe my higher self that's doing it, my inner self, ideomotor, it doesn't matter to me anymore. It's like, don't worry about the messenger. I'm just a messenger. Worry about and be concerned with the quality of the message that comes through. So that's always been my pursuit, is the quality of the message that comes through and how it affects change and helps people. Now, I am a therapist by trade. And so I think that goes hand in hand the way I work the tool. I like to call it, Dave, as you know, I've told you this before, I like to call it like Ouija therapy, tongue in cheek, because it's very therapeutic the way I use the tool. So really, it's not the tool, again, doing the work. It's myself. It's my theatrics of how I channel, and you can see me do it through the board.
How many boards do you have now?
We were talking about this earlier, you guys. I think I'm pushing over 60 because I was showing Dave earlier, not only do I have a lot of boards, but I also have some collectible items, which are small mini boards. Like this one right here is a miniature board that has a pull out, a little planchette about this big. And it really does work. You guys, I have some boards that are small. If you get your finger on there, it really can work. I don't know. So I have this, and I'm not going to take it out of the package because I'm a collector. A lot of times you collect boards and you keep them really pristine, but every board, the big boards I have some behind me here, all the boards I have, I use them all. I might not use them all the time, but I at least give them a maiden voyage. Whenever I get a new board, I use them all.
Do you have a favorite?
Well, I have two favorites. Gosh, it's really hard, you guys. I have a lot of really unique boards that people have made and given me, like they're one of a kinds. And they're beautiful. So I love those because it's artwork. So I can't discredit. I can't say I don't love those too, but I will say I mostly collect Ouija boards. Probably my all-time favorite is this guy right here. And that's because it's my first board ever I received, again, from Santa Claus. This board here, this big one back here, is the one I typically use all the time when I do sessions because it's larger. It's from the 1950s, 60s circa. And the planchette has room. It doesn't fall off the edges. The smaller boards, they'll fall off. And so I really love the space on this board that this provides me. And it's a larger board. So I'm really kind of digging this one and this one the best.
So for you, was 60 plus boards, do each of them act differently?
Well, the boards don't do anything. It's me. So now, okay, so let me share this. So I get a board. And I've had boards that here's an example. This little guy right here. This is a 1910 Ouija board that would have been made by William Fold Company. So I get a board, and part of it is my own beliefs about it, and part of it is the stories I hear about the boards. And so that can affect how you interact with the board or how you use a board. So this board came to me, and it just had some energy about it. Like it was. It's hard to explain, but I could just feel some energy about like it had been used quite a bit. And I could tell that people were having, good responses with it, but they had a lot of energy with it. So I was a little more hesitant to use it. When I finally sat down with it about 2 or 3 weeks, I felt like it worked well, but I'll say the planchette it came with wasn't working too well. This is such a cool story. So we're using the planchette that came with it, my partner and I, and this was my friend Rhonda, who is now transitioned. And yes, she has come back and spoken to me through the board. But she's in my book. I talk about her in this book, The Spirits of Ouija. She's in this book. But we were using this board, had a planchette on it. The planchette was like rough and getting stuck. It was an older planchette. And so the guides who we talked to on the board said, go out into your garage and get new felt pads for it. It spelled this out, okay? I'm like, I don't have felt pads in my garage. It said, go out there and look, Karen. This is all being spelled out through the board. I go out to my garage, open a drawer, and sure enough, there were little felt pads. And the felt pads, you guys, this is what you can do. You get these that come with it, right? When these don't work so well anymore, or you have an older board or older planchette, you could put those little felt pads they used to put on the bottom of like pottery, decor. So I put them on there, and all of a sudden it started working really well. So it was because the planchette was just kind of not smooth enough to move. Did that really have to do with the board itself? Not really. It was really more because the planchette was not working to its optimal abilities. So it's just interesting things like that happen.
There's a lot of rumors about the board out there, from you should never use it alone to you should never use it for a certain amount of time or longer. What are some of the do's and don'ts with this board?
Well, I love that, Dave, because you're bringing up some of the superstitions that we like to call Ouija-stitions, which is a word coined by one of my colleagues, Gene Orlando, who owns the Museum of Talkingboards.com. Great place to look online if you want to know all about different types of talking boards. So there's a lot of superstitions, mythologies that have been passed down over the years, folklore, if you will, and they're what we would call Ouija-stitions. So things like Don't use the board by itself. Never leave a planchette on the board. Always say goodbye. Don't ask when you're going to die. Don't use it in the graveyard. It's things like that that have really given the Ouija board a bad name, a bad rap. And it's basically based upon folklore. So when we come to a tool that's as mysterious as this tool, because think about it, there really are no rules. There really are no rules. So on the back of the box in the olden days, it didn't say anything about it, but on the back of the board, it had some suggestions for using this tool, such as it would say, sit across from your partner, male, female, preferred. One person asks the questions, put your fingers lightly on the planchette, keep your board clean with a soft cloth, ask questions and see what happens. Basically, that's what it said. And today you might get things for on the newer boards like, oh, ask questions about when you're going to date so-and-so, or are you going to be asked to the prom, or, it's little silly questions like that. But it doesn't really tell you how it works or why it works. It just says you'll be met with excitement and fun. And so because it's so mysterious, we want to put our own stories upon this tool. We want to project our own thoughts and beliefs upon it. And therefore we create our own rituals around this tool. And then that becomes a lot of people's own superstitions. And I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying we all have our own way of using this tool. And I would call it, I have a ritualistic way I like to use this tool. I would call it our own belief systems or intentions of using this tool. But that's where it all started from. People bringing their own thoughts about religion or philosophies or theosophies or even practices, such as Wicca or paganism or different kinds of practices people have. They bring that to the board, and they may, for example, blow smoke in the four corners or put crystals in the four corners or sage it or say a prayer, because they're bringing their own practices to the board. And what I say, Dave, is definitely do that. There's no reason to reinvent your own way of how you work in these realms of the unseen dimensions. Bring it to the board. I say, it's your own rules. I don't have rules. I don't have rules when I use this tool. What I like to do is just set the stage and treat it very sacredly. And I've had nothing but exquisite results because I do it that way.
Okay, so the fact that there are no rules and there are no real superstitions that go along with the board, I mean, what about the people who have been affected by this? You've heard all the stories over the years. I tried to burn a Ouija board and it showed back up in my closet. I threw it in the garbage. It showed back up on my doorstep. You've heard them all over the years. I mean, do you have a favorite story that you'd like to share that's, one of those faux type stories? Or is it even possible that could happen?
Well, it's interesting you asked that question. So this year we were at Michigan Paracon, the Talking Board Historical Society, which I'm a director at, and I'm also an officer there. We put on a big display, you guys, of Ouija boards that we collected over the years. They were sent to us from people who claimed to have negative experiences with the board or not so positive experiences. And so we had all these stories, and I think we narrowed it down to about 15 stories, and we shared the stories. We also had the boards to show you. So we have this one board that was sent to us, and I'm not here to negate anybody's story. Everybody has their own experiences, it's all good. So this one story, this woman wrote to us, and she sent us a board, and it had a hole burnt out in the middle of the board. It was a Haskellite. I don't have it here with me. It's a board that looks like a tray from the 1940s, and it actually had the edges that roll up. And you could bring out aperitifs, hors d'oeuvres, cocktails, and then you drink and eat, and then you'd play with the talking board. And it's a talking board. So she had this board, and she swore that they were using it one night and they had some candles sitting around it, and all of a sudden when they're using it, the board went up in flames. And she said it to us, the whole middle of the board was burnt out. And she said not only did it go up in flames, they held it up and looked through it, and they could see little fires all over their property. And she's like, we could see them, but there was no really fires there. But it freaked her out enough that she said she sent the board to us and said, we want you to have it in your hands. So there's stories like that. I hear so many, you guys, I hear so many stories about it. It's all good, but we all have our stories. And that was the whole thing about our exhibit we had. We wanted to share people's stories that they have. And we focus more on the macabre or the negative part of people's experiences, because that's part of the rich history of Ouija board. Ouija board is not only, for me, it's been nothing but positive, but for other people, it hasn't been. So we wanted to share, a little bit of that too, what people end up getting when they use this tool.
So can that happen? Can all of a sudden fire burn in the middle of it? Or you hear a lot of people, like I said, they throw it in the garbage can and it shows back up. Is that even possible with the magic involved with it?
Well, it's funny. I had somebody else write to me a few years ago and said that they had a board and they put it in the trash can and it kept ending up back on their front porch. I think people are playing tricks on you. But listen, who knows? I got to tell you, I've never had a board. I've never had a planchette move on its own. I've never had a board just all of a sudden burn up. And I use the board in the cemetery. I've used the board all over the place, all over the world. I always have a board with me when I travel. I've used the board in many different weird places, haunted places. I go on investigations. I never once had an issue. Now, having said that, what I want to say too, we always think, oh, it's the board. Have you ever thought that maybe it could be yourself, like maybe it's psychokinetic situation, or we're causing it ourselves, or it's something else to be thinking about that's causing these reactions? I don't know. We can't just say everything is like, oh, it's a dead person, it's a ghost, or it's the evil board. We have to say what else is contributing to what's happening here. So when I use a tool, I like to look at, I don't go, oh, I'm just talking to the dead, because I'm not. I'm talking to so many other different beings and different dimensions of different consciousness. And so we have to take that into the equation too. What is happening? I don't know. I mean, when people tell me these stories, I like to hear them. But for me, I've never, ever had that. And you guys, I use the board a lot. We're talking thousands of hours on the planchette over the years. It's never anything crazy like that has happened to me. And even when I've used it in really scary, spooky places.
At Capella University, education is as smart as the world around us. With the FlexPath format, you can take classes at your own pace, set your own deadlines, and even leverage your previous experience to move faster. Now that's smart. Learn more at capella.edu.
Now that football season's here, it's time to put some serious thought into what you'll be ordering from Uber Eats. Whatever's on your game day menu this NFL season, Uber Eats has you covered. They'll deliver whatever you order quickly and just how you want it, so you can stay in the game. Tonight, I'll be eating Uber Eats, the official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Uber Eats is bringing you game day deals all season. Order now.
Places.
With 2 minutes to go, do you understand the mystique, though, of why people would get freaked out?
I do. I absolutely do. Again, there's no rules to this board. It's also, there's a mysterious nature to it. It's not explained really how to use it. We project our thoughts upon it. We hear stories. It's used in Hollywood. It's used in movies. It's been around since first talking board came out in 1886, 1890s when Ouija board came out. So there's always been stories. And by the way, there's always stories about the afterlife. Spirits, ghosts, and a lot of times religion says you shouldn't do that. So that becomes more like a taboo thing, and that helps create some of the stories around it as well, and people's fears. And I think our fears can get the best of us, and our fears can also create things as well.
So it's more in the mind then?
I believe everything with the board is all about what you believe, your intentions, and the mind. Absolutely.
All right. What about spirits, though, playing tricks on you?
Well, there are spirits out there. I mean, I'm just going to be, that's in my life. There's spirits out there. I've met them. I've seen them with my eyes. I communicate with them. And I'll say, just because you end up dying, transitioning, I like to use that word better, it doesn't mean you're so different and beyond. Like you're, all of a sudden you're an angel. What it means is you bring your personality with you often. And so you might be talking to somebody who is like really negative and angry and doesn't really want to move on and just is stuck somehow. And they're not really stuck. I hate when I say that word. Okay. They're really just, they chose to be in that space, attached to maybe where they lived, attached to a person, attached to their life, whatever it is. And so, yeah, you can get those. I call that the dead zone. So when you use this tool, you really have to work yourself through the dead zone and get through, if you want to call them tricksters, playful spirits that are just hanging out, chilling, whatever. You've got to, work on that and work through that.
Well, we've got 30 seconds left. So not really enough time to ask you another question, but that's okay. And for those of you, we're going to go to a break here at the bottom of the hour. And when we come back from the break, we're going to get into Karen about really cool sessions she's had. What the board is like. What's it like to use one? How do we know who we are communicating with? We have many questions. We'll take the audience questions in hour number 2. And who knows what we'll do. We're just running away with this tonight as one of my favorite guests all time on this show, Karen A. Dahlman, the queen of the Ouija board, I like to call her. And she is brilliant. Don't worry, just by listening to this show, you're not going to have dark entities running around your room saying, boo. It's not going to happen, promise you. So make sure you tune back in when we come back from the break here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, so I know we have a lot of new listeners tuning on in right now. So just so you guys know, we are a live radio show, so that way we do have to time everything out with our radio stations for our breaks. You guys watch it on YouTube, you get to see the behind the scenes of everything, and you get to hear Karen and I chatting away here. Questions, of course, will be in hour number 2. And we welcome in Davey. We welcome in the gorgeous Teresa. The lovely and talented Kara McIver is watching. Give us a wave, Kara. We know you're in Saskatchewan. It's all flat there. We can all see you. So make sure you wave, and we'll wave back. And who else has arrived here late? I think that's it right now. I think that's it. And, yeah. So, oh, yeah. Yeah. I got mine. Where are we going, Karen? I'm just following you right now.
Well, I'm just going to pick a card for us this evening. Let's see what comes up. I'm doing an oracle deck right now. It's called the Mystical Oracle Deck by a fabulous artist from Sedona named Sherilyn. She's actually transitioned, and she talks to me through the board. And nice. She has given me some tips on reading with her cards that I use this day. Pretty powerful stuff. So I'm just going to pull a card. Let's pull a card, Dave, for the audience here.
All right. I'm gonna choose one too.
All right. Okay. I got mine.
Hold on. I'll zoom in on it. All right. What do you got for us here, Karen?
I have Soul Purpose card. This card would be like, okay, so I'm going to just interpret what I'm getting from it right now. Because when I read the cards, you guys, it's different every time. I don't go with like any book or anything like that. It's like what I'm getting is tonight we're going to be talking about soul purpose. We're going to be talking about how to really tap into your soul, and you maybe using this tool or off the tool. So I'm going to say some of the information you're going to get today is going to stir yourself at the soul level. Sorry, the card's hard. There you go. And look at the imagery, how beautiful that is. So we got like a snake, almost like a caduceus snake. It's not, though. We got a star tetrahedron here. We have this character, which could look like Moses or Merlin or Melchizedek. It's a very powerful being. And it looks like there's like a lot of ancestors here. So we may even get into some readings tonight because I'm kind of feeling it. I do feel like there's ancestors here with us tonight as I communicate. What I find, you guys, when I talk about the board, all of a sudden I start hearing and feeling the energies around me, and I start getting messages, even just through my mind. Many of you who use the board will tell me that too. They're getting the messages before it comes through the board. I purposely don't say it. I let it spell it out because it is a talking board after all. But what I find is I'll start feeling the energies around, and even sometimes seeing in my mind's eye of different beings who want to communicate. So I'm just going to put this card aside right now because it's going to remind me of the fact that we are really trying to tap into our soul, our cellular memory, I like to call it, and maybe activate some of that tonight through our readings. Dave, what are you getting?
And Trevor says that card that you showed looks like someone on the stream. I think.
Oh, does it?
My card is a golden phoenix.
Nice. Tell us your interpretation of that card.
I don't know. I don't read cards well.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm getting on that one. So I live outside of Phoenix. But also the thing about Phoenix, you guys know this, it's rising from the ashes. There's like a renewal, like a rebirth. It's like, you think about it, you guys, what's going on in the world? I mean, we're all being torn apart. The people, our lives. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I speak to because I do readings all the time. I do readings all the time, you guys, all day long. I work on a hotline. I also do private readings. And I'm telling you, people are reaching out to me and saying, oh my God, my life has fallen apart. Major changes like relationship, moving, jobs, losing somebody, just all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I really feel like we are on the precipice of being going into the ashes. We have not rebirthed yet. And that's coming soon, you guys. I really feel like at the end of 2023, that's going to happen. It's like we still got to go through some more junk. And so as we're going through this, think about what you're letting go of in your life and what you want to renew and rebirth and revitalize.
Very cool. We have just over 30 seconds left. Big thank you to our Dutch Princess Sally for the amazing Super Chat. The Super Chat is an incredible way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you so much for everybody who takes part in the Super Chat. If you're brand new here, do not forget to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. We are literally here 7 days a week for your entertainment, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time, and we love being here for you. Thank you to all the veterans out there tuning us in, and we really appreciate it. You always have a safe home here. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, sharing out our swag, and reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Karen A. Dahlman, the queen of the Ouija board, as we are hanging on out, talking all things Ouija tonight. Karen, welcome back.
Yay, it's great to be here. I was just showing you guys my crystal ball. So listen, Ouija board's my thing, but I have a lot of tools. Somebody asked how many cards I have. I love my Oracle and Tarot. I have the regular, Rider-Waite deck I use all the time. And I just love this deck I just showed you guys. But I love all the tools, dowsing rods, pendulums. And my latest tool I got, Dave, we were talking about this earlier, is this crystal ball. You guys, it was so, I got to tell you the story. So I was at this dinner party, one of my girlfriends. This is when I was in California. Oh my God, look at his ball.
I got big ball.
You have a I'm not going to say it. Oh, we could digress here. Okay, so I was at this dinner party, and I was reading cards for people. So as after dinner, I said, okay, so I started reading the cards, and then one of my girlfriend's husband walks out with this giant crystal ball. He's like, Karen, read this. I'm like, I don't read crystal balls. Now, I've done some Black Mirror scrying, but I never even had a crystal ball. I was always thinking, God, I would like one. Why not? It's just scrying. I mean, whatever. So he hands it to me, and you guys, I start looking at it, and I started getting these images. I actually saw some images in the ball, and then I was just getting in my mind. So when you do channeling or scrying or divination, like I was telling you with these cards, you pick one card, it could change for each person. You just trust that, okay? I started reading this card, and I said, okay. This crystal ball, and I said, okay, what I'm seeing is in your family, there's this man, and he's connected to your mother who gave you this crystal ball, and he's an adulterer. I started getting into some seedy stuff, Dave, seedy stuff. And he's like, oh my God, that's true. And I said, well, and I kept going. And it was just crazy. And I was like, okay, I don't know what just happened, but I was able to really pick up on some energy. He goes, you nailed it. So when I left California and moved to Arizona, he gave it to his wife, and she brought it to me and said, this is from my husband, he wants you to have this ball because he says he doesn't know how to use it. You know how to use it. So it's a relatively new gift for me. I've had it for not even a whole year yet, and I'm working with it. I'm starting to use it, but it's kind of fun. You got to try different tools, you guys. You never know what you're going to be good at using.
Why does Ouija get such a bad rap, yet we allow people to use tea leaves or read tarot,
right,
or go to psychics or pendulums or dowsing rods? I mean, we could go on and on and on, and I'm just curious, why pick on the Ouija board?
They pick on the Ouija board because, well, look at these guys back here. These are all Ouijas, except for this one back here I was showing you. This is a handmade one. It's fashioned after Witchboard movie. A gentleman drew this out, and I got it. We're sold out of those now. The Talking Board Historical Society sells boards a lot of times. Anyway, the deal is this. Look at how ominous it looks. It's a little esoteric. It's got the sun, the moon. It's got some weird stuff in the corners. Here we go. Let's pull this board up here. These floating hands down here and faces. And it's like, just interesting stuff in here. This is very alchemical stuff. It's esoteric, like I said. And again, it doesn't come with instructions. So people just want to project their own thoughts upon it or their fears. So the Ouija tends to attract a lot of fears. But then think about this. Everybody thinks the Ouija board's made just to talk to transitioned people, dead people. So you're dealing with the dead now. Do we really know what happens when we die? I mean, we have people that have near-death experiences and will come back and say, oh, I saw a light, the proverbial light and all that stuff. Sure. I mean, I believe their experiences, but you never know. We don't know till you're actually there. And death is such a mysterious thing. And it's also a taboo thing. I mean, who really wants to talk about the mortality and going, right? So it's a very hard topic to talk about. And this brings up the connotations and the inference. You must be talking to the deceased. And then therefore it's kind of scary. And it's an unknown, an uncertainty. I mean, the age-old, I would say the path that humanity has always been on is trying to understand what happens to their loved ones, part of their tribe, when they die. I mean, where do they go? They're gone. The body decays. And so we're dealing with that topic. This is what this board represents, because people think that's what it is. Now I'm going to tell you something, you guys. I see it as my great cosmic phone. It's not just to dial up people who transitioned. You can use it to dial up all kinds of consciousness and different levels of energy, including your higher self. We'll get into that some more, I promise. But just to answer Dave's question, it's like, this is why it's become taboo or fearful, because we're dealing with death. People have a hard time talking about death, especially in our era. Years ago in the Victorian era, we can go back way back even before that, death was a commonplace. People didn't live that long, right? People didn't live that long. And childbirth and people dying, giving birth, it was normal. And you did wakes. You had the body laying in the house, in the parlor, they had a living room, right? That's what the living people lived. And then you had like the parlor. You might put a dead person in there, right? That was normal. You used to take pictures of people propped up when they were dead as part of the family members. So death was a little bit more accepted. And see, we've really distanced ourselves from it for whatever reason. But also you got to remember now, religion also says there's stuff that talks about in the Bible. I've read it. People have referenced it. I've seen it. You shouldn't talk to spirits. It's false spirits and they're tricking you and all this stuff. And really they tell you in a lot of traditions, theosophies, philosophies, religions, that you don't have any right to do this conversation. It should be left to some clergyman or somebody above you who has the power to reach out into the universe and communicate with these other spirits. So there's all of that going on at the same time, Dave. It gets confusing for people. And then people say, well, and they don't want to believe it. Don't want to believe that you can actually communicate with the deceased either. So there's a mixture of all kinds of information coming in at the same time. And that creates this whole fear and scariness about it.
I want to ask you in regards to the scariness and the fear, because I don't believe there is anything to fear. I believe there is some high strangeness that definitely comes along with it. I've experienced that personally. But for you and the tool that you use, you keep calling it a tool. Why do you call it a tool?
Well, it's a device. It's a tool. It's nothing more than that. I mean, this one here is masonite. Let's see. This one back here, that's wood, masonite, masonite. That's what these are. Or they're cardboard or something. They do nothing. It's like me taking this crystal ball, which is a tool. It's like me using maybe crystals. It's a tool. It's a talisman. It's me using my cards. These are tools. They don't do the work. It takes the person who's using these tools to make them work. It's like having a hammer. You have a hammer and you're going to build a house. You got to know how to pound the hammer and not hit your nail, right? And this nail, but hit the nail in the, you've got to learn how to use your tools. That's all it is. It's learning to use your tools, regardless of what they look like. I mean, I have some really awesome Ouija boards that are so cute. Like I have an angel board. I've got this full moon board. I got some they're not ominous. I like having these around because these are like spooky for Halloween. But you guys, they're just a device. That's why I call them a tool, because guess what's happening? The person who's using the tool, I call that the operator. The operator meaning yourself. You're the one that's doing all this work. You are the one that's bringing in the energies or bringing out your higher self, your inner self, your idiom motor. You're doing all the work. It's you opening up to channel. This is no different than doing direct mediumship, psychic readings. You're developing the same abilities. Now, Dave, the coolest thing that happened with me, because, I've been using it for, like I said, 48 years. Over the years using this tool, because I didn't understand this as a kid. I thought, oh, the board, it's doing it, and it's not me, and the spirits are talking. I realized, no, I started, definitely evolving through this tool as I got older. It was really in 1989 when I really realized the power of this device based on my own power. So as I was starting to evolve and learn about spirituality and reading things and studying and really learning about maybe the afterlife, not just through this tool, but like through hypnosis and past life regressions. And I was a therapist, and I was also doing past life therapy with my clients, and I was undergoing it myself. It's like as I started to develop myself and my mind to think outside the box, the craziest thing that happened, you guys, all of my clairsenses went off the charts. And I can say to this day, using this tool has really helped me bring out and develop all those clairsenses, clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience. There's like 8 or 9 different clairsenses, which is basically using your own abilities. And then I realized, I go, that's what I've been doing this whole time. I use the theatrics of the board to show you the movements and the letters and stuff coming through. But truly, you take the board away, Dave, and I'm doing it now. I'm doing direct channeling. I'm doing readings, and it's off the board, because I realized the board is it's slow. It's laborious. Although I'm pretty fast at using it. You've seen us, Dave.
Yes, you're incredibly fast.
Pretty fast. And I love that. I'll never give it to this tool because it's a lovely device to use. But I can do the same work off the board. And that's when I made that connection. Like, oh, the common denominator here is myself. Whether I'm doing the board or some psychic reading or mediumship reading, it's me. And so I realized it was myself. And so when any of you guys using the board, try not to get so caught up on the board does it for you. Just be mindful that the board is a tool, but also you are a tool. So this is what I say. I'm a walking, talking Ouija board now, myself.
Well, there you go. So yeah. If we put our fingers on your shoulders, you're going to, all of a sudden start moving around A, B, C, D, E.
I guess well, listen, you've seen the world's largest Ouija board, right? That's kind of what you do. Run around the board.
I'm very curious about that now. Karen A. Dahlman is our guest tonight. Now, one thing that you've got me curious about, you said, this isn't just for communicating with dead people. You can communicate with spirit. You can communicate with those in different dimensions, different portals, different areas. What do you mean by that?
Well, okay, so it was in 1989. So I started in 73. So we're talking like 16 years later. I was out of graduate school. I was working and starting out my professional career as a psychotherapist. And I had other friends. I had 2 other good friends with me that were like very curious about using this tool. And so we would try to work exclusively using this tool, talking specifically and asking to speak to our higher selves. I thought, if I'm talking to deceased people and people tell me, oh, the idiom motor's doing it, your subconscious is doing it, I go, well, let's purposely talk to our subconscious mind. Now, I like to call that my higher self, which means the part of myself, or part of any of you out there.
At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Now that football season's here, it's time to put some serious thought into what you'll be ordering from Uber Eats. Whatever's on your game day menu this NFL season, Uber Eats has you covered. They'll deliver whatever you order quickly and just how you want it, so you can stay in the game. Tonight, I'll be eating Uber Eats, the official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Uber Eats is bringing you game day deals all season. Order now.
Ourselves that is not just in this body, but exists beyond this corporeal existence. It's that part of ourself that reaches back out to the universe and is actually connected to the divine. Some people might call it the Godhead within. They might call it yourself just channeling source, all that is. So it's that party that connects back. And I thought, why not? Let's just do what they think I'm doing. Talk to that part of me, and let's bring through messages. Well, the coolest thing about that, Dave, so we started bringing in messages, and the messages was like, there's 3 of us in the room, people, but then we have 3 higher selves. So it was like 6 of us now, almost like group therapy. And we would find that my higher self might talk to somebody else's higher self, or might talk to the person and give them advice. And it was like this, it was just crazy. And we were getting such great information that would help us evolve, that would help us think about our careers, to feel more comfortable in our, you're young and you're dumb and you're just starting out, but you're trying to, make your way in the world. And it really gave me some really insightful information. And same with my friends. And so we did that for almost 4 years. Now, this is where it gets really cool. Okay. And that's cool, but it gets really cool. As we started working with our higher selves and activating that connection, this is key, guys, activating that connection with our higher self, getting real-time messages, what we found was we started bringing in other dimensions and other energies. So then the angels started coming through. We had beings that were considered either archangels or angels or guardian angels. Then we had ETs coming through. These weren't dead things. These were not dead things at all. ETs were alive and well. We had some really incredible messages that I still have to this day. And this was in 1989, 90, 91, 92. The internet wasn't out, you guys. I think we had AOL chat rooms. I wasn't into that stuff at the time. You had to go do Dewey Decimal, go to the library to read stuff, to look things up. It wasn't, and I got all this information on Maldeck and things that I knew nothing about, okay? This was coming through the planchette, through the board. Then we started getting into ethereal beings. And around 1992 is when I met a group of beings called what I call now the guides. They are ethereal beings that are of source energy. They've never been born in a body. They're a collective group. And back then I would call them the sun and moon. Because when they came through, they entered here and they entered here with the planchette. So the planchette would do this and go up to the corner like that. When it went to the corner, it would do that and then come down and give a message. And when it would go up here, it was a different entity. So I just started calling them the sun and moon. They really don't have names. They're just ethereal beings. They're actually not even male, female. They're androgynous. And they're just pure light, pure light. I've never been able to see these beings, but they've been with me ever since. So I met them. And then I started meeting and talking to the animal kingdom. And we're talking about animals that are alive and animals that are transitioned. The list goes on, you guys. It's again, I saw this as my great cosmic phone, and I was going to reach out there, tune the dial with my intentions, which what I wanted to attract and communicate with, tune it that way. That's how you tune it, and then bring those energies through. And it's just amazing, and it continues to this day, and it's gone even greater levels than that.
How do you know, though, that if you're trying to, let's say, for instance, I wanted to try and communicate with my grandfather, how do I know it's my grandfather and not some other spirit from a different realm or a different dimension or just a spirit that is a trickster or a hoaxer?
And that's a great question you're asking. Okay, so you guys, when you work in these dimensions, and you can ask anybody that does psychic readings or mediumship, it's like there's a feeling you get, and you have to calibrate yourself to understand that. So it's a lot of discernment you use, and it's such a subtle energy when you work on the board to even get it to work. It's so subtle. And when I started taking that subtle energy, what I feel when the planchette moves, and started discerning that within myself, because I get sensations when I do the board, and I can feel different energies come through, and I can also feel when it's, because now I know who all the characters are that I communicate with, and I can tell if it's my angel, I can tell if it's one of my deceased cats, I can tell if it's one of my relatives, one of my friends who's also transitioned, I can tell if it's the guides, I can tell if who it is, because I call that spirit signatures. You start to feel it. Now, that took time to get there. Having said that, when you first start out using the board, I wouldn't trust the message at all. Use it for entertainment purposes. You can't expect to talk to Aunt Edna right away if you haven't already done this work on some other level off the board. I wouldn't expect it. So as a kid, I have to back up and say I came into the world really aware and seeing auras, and I had an imaginary playmate who wasn't imaginary. I was already seeing things. I already had that connection. I came in like that. So it was very easy for me to get on the board and just to go right at it. But did I trust those messages? No, I saw it as entertainment. So what I tell people, this is how you know, Dave, there's going to be a resonation. You're going to know, you're going to resonate like, oh, that sounds like her. Or let's say it's your Aunt Edna. That sounds like her, or it feels like her, or yeah, you got to feel it in your heart, you guys. This tool is one of, again, it's about dealing with subtle energies. You're developing your clairsenses when you do this. You're developing your ability to discern. And discernment doesn't come easy. You have to develop. It's like you have to use that muscle. There's a muscle for discernment, and I find I work with it in my heart. So that's where I find I discern, and so that's how I know when it's somebody coming through. So when I do readings for people and they're wanting to communicate with somebody who's deceased, what I do is I just try to tap into the energy. I try to feel it. Now, I don't know. I do a lot of cold call readings. I'm just doing it. I just start giving information. I have to trust that. But I've learned levels of where I feel it in my body. Again, my body, I'm the walking Ouija board now. I can feel those energies like I feel through the planchette. I interpret them here. And I've talked to a lot of people about this who use this tool. They said they have to learn to, again, discern. They might say discern or feel it or trust the subtle energies, and then they can start bringing it through. Now, I also want to say this. When you use this tool, you should be writing everything down and watch the quality and caliber of the messages over time. Because what will happen is you'll start to see if it's making sense. You're going to see the story weave itself, and you're also going to see if it's actually accurate. And so until you can get to that level, I wouldn't trust anything. Now, just an example, I didn't come out and write my first book, although I wrote a book years ago in 1997. I didn't release my first book until 2012, and my first book about the Ouija board, I didn't even come out until 2013 because I felt like if I was going to come out and talk about my experiences with this board, I owed it to the audience to say, I'm 100% knowing of what I'm doing and using who I'm talking to because I've learned that level of discernment. But you guys, it took a lot of years. Now, having said that too, Dave, the energy is speeding up. I just want to talk about the energy of the cosmos. It's totally opening up for people. You don't need to go and sit there for 48 years to do this tool or to do any of this work. It's coming to people a lot quicker now. People are more tapped into it, and we're able to communicate and talk about it, which makes it more open. When I was growing up, you didn't talk about these things. I couldn't talk about it when I was a therapist. It's just you didn't do it. Although we did it in secret behind closed doors, and in time we were doing it because you could lose your license. Today, it's so much easier, so you can open up about it. So it's a level of progression where you start to trust yourself using the tool. It's not trusting the tool; it's trusting yourself using the tool and learning to trust the messages. Once you use it, you write it out for a while. This could be months. It could be years. Some people do sit down right away and it works right away and they get really solid messages and predictions and stuff. It just depends on the individual. But then again, that individual is probably already doing this work on some other level. They're probably already working with the unseen dimensions. So it takes time. And I can't give you an answer like, oh, it's going to be, you're going to know for sure in 5 sessions. No, I have people that use this board for 9 months and still don't get solid messages or answers. So I always say, don't go out there and say, hey, I got this message. I know it's real. I know it's my aunt or my grandfather. Wait until you have some, I always say, miles under your planchette. Wait until you used it enough where you start to learn that how it connects within yourself and you feel it. So when I'm channeling you guys with the board, I get this sense of pure love flowing through me and radiating out of me. I get so high. And Dave, you know, when Rodney and I would do these shows with you, it would take me 2 or 3 hours after a session with you guys, when we do like 3 hours, right, of the board work, because it was so loving. And that's how I know, too, how it fills me up and radiates through me. And that's how I know I'm communicating with the right being I'm trying to connect with. So it's that resonation. And I know that's a long-winded answer. And I know it sounds nebulous. But when you're doing this work, it's not like math. It's not like 1 + 1 = 2. It's definitely a whole nother way of thinking. And it's about feeling instead.
We've got just under a minute to go here. For you, I mean, you mentioned the word that you get a natural high off of this, but there's a lot of people already in the chat room who've been asking, what about using this while under the influence? Mm-hmm.
So influence, you're talking about whether you smoke like some kind of drug.
Marijuana, drugs, LSD, alcohol, not like any of our crowd does that because we're good people here, but we got quick answer, 10 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. For me, no. I've learned I won't do any of my work. I won't do readings. I need to be really pure for myself, and I need to be conscious and aware. So I won't imbibe in any substance that will take that away from me, including even caffeine or any kind of medication. So I'm really clear about that for myself. To get clear, I need to be able to reach these realms to bring through the messages.
Wonderful.
So not for me.
Wonderful. Karen, I'm going to get you to hang on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Karen A. Dahlman, I call her the queen of the Ouija board, and we're going to continue the Ouija talk. We'll answer questions from our chat rooms and on Twitter as well on Spaced Out Radio. Ouija talk all night long. Hang on out. Get weird with us. Here on the Mighty SOR is hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is coming up right after this. Stay tuned. I will let you talk to the audience. I'm going to go take a teaspoon of hot sauce and burn my throat.
Oh, I think you should get a teaspoon of like honey or sugar or something, right?
No, capsicum.
Ooh.
It's nice. It burns, it hurts, and it works.
Ooh, that would hurt my throat. It would make it worse for me. Hey, guys. So is there any questions you have that you want? I'm sorry. It's hard for me to talk and keep up with the messages here, but I appreciate you guys interacting. And listen, if I was just hanging out with you guys, I'd just be chatting too in this session. Let's see. Ouija or Ouija. That's funny. Oh, here we go. I like that. Chillin' Villain says, has anyone ever asked the board of its origins or whom has the creator? Well, we know who that is. We don't have to ask the board. So you guys, in 1886, there was a board called the Witch Board. And this board was created by a company out of Massachusetts. And we know this because they took the board and they mailed it to President Grover Cleveland for his wedding. And it was sent to, well, he was the only president, by the way, that got married in the White House. And they sent it to him. And we know this because they took that letter. And back in the day, in 1800s, late 1800s, if things went viral, it had to be like in the Boston Globe or the New York Magazine or something. It had to be in a journal or a newspaper. The company, W.S. Reed Toy Company, took it and sent it to the Globe. And they published it and said, oh, my God, President Grover Cleveland, this is the letter. He's getting a Ouija board. It wasn't called Ouija. He's getting this talking board called the Witch Board. Well, he received that for his wedding. And he wrote back to the gentleman at W.S. Reed Toy Company and said, dear sir, we appreciate your ingenuity of this creation, but I hardly think I will use it to consult about the affairs of our country. And he wrote that and sent it back to the company. And that also letter went viral too, because it was sent back. They published it again in one of the periodicals, one of the newspapers. So that's where the first talking board started. People will tell you ancient Greece, China, not true at all. There's always been, you guys, apparati. There's always been tools they use to try to like casting of stones or bones or interesting things they use to get messages, but it was not a talking board. A talking board consists of a planchette, as you see back here, and a board with letters on it. So there's talking boards, spirit boards, Ouija boards. Ouija is a trademark name. And so in 1890, a group of businessmen and one woman, so a group of people got together and said, let's ride this. It's a great idea. Let's ride this wave and make some money. And they created the Ouija board. And they named it Ouija because they asked the board and said, what do we call you? And the board spelled out Ouija. They said, what does that mean? And it spelled out good luck. So they actually patented and trademarked the board as Ouija and the good luck board. And it was 1891 when they got the patent. Now, interesting enough, here's Canada. Canada got involved, Dave. I don't know if you know this. A little bit later, the patent attorney, what he did, he took the patent and allowed it to be used by a company in Canada. So he sold them the rights to use it. And so Canada has been making Ouija boards ever since as well, but it started and originated in the United States. And the first board was called the Witch board. But I got to tell you, at the same time the Witch board came out, you guys, there was a craze that was going around the country, especially started in Ohio. And I saw somebody earlier write about this, how somebody said their mother or grandmother took a cutting board and wrote letters and numbers on it. That's what they did back in the mid 1800s. People were starting to experiment with new ways to communicate with the dead. Because back then it was becoming the heyday of the spiritualist movement, and there was a lot of interest in being able to do that communication. And they thought the rapping, the knocking, the table tipping was very laborious, and so they thought that using a board with, they write it on their table, they'd write it on a cutting board. They thought that would be a quicker way, and it definitely is a quicker way than even automatic writing. Let me show you this, you guys. This is like an automatic writing. They had these years ago. This is a new one. But it would have usually caster wheels. This one has little ball bearings and an aperture for a pen or pencil. And they would do this and would write. But this would also get illegible at times. And it was a lot harder to use than like a Ouija board. So there's a little history for you. We didn't really get into that, but that made me think of that because Chillin' Villain asked a great question.
All right. So I got to go way up here and find that question. So that way, because I know there's other questions that...
There's good questions in here. They're going by and I can't see them fast enough.
That's all right. I got them here. I got them. All right. Now my nose is running. But the good part about it is my throat feels better.
Seriously? From that hot sauce?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It burns like a son of a bitch, but holy cow.
Beep.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden I'm good.
Yay.
For how long, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Big thank you to Sally, our Dutch princess, for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you so much, Sally, for your contribution. Thank you to everyone else tuning us in, especially our new subscribers that we have right now who are checking us out for the first time because of Karen, so thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. My mouth is sweating right now, to be honest.
I'm happy to be here with everybody. It's a great way to hang out.
Very rare I will bring on someone who has better hair than me. Your hair is gorgeous. It really is.
Thank you, guys. That's really sweet. Very kind. Thank you, Dave.
All right, let's rock and roll here, people. Let's do it.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Talpa. Talpa is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and checking out our swag. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Karen A. Dahlman, the queen of the Ouija board, is here tonight, spooking us all out with great tales and knowledge of how the Ouija board works. Do we need to fear it? Not so much, according to Karen. And my voice is feeling better now. Minor hint to all of you, if you got a sore throat, just take your hottest hot sauce and take a teaspoon and shove it down there. And it burns and it hurts, but darn it, does it work. Karen, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, weird one, eh? Hot sauce, burn your throat.
It's a weird one.
It is. Did I say A? Did I?
You did. I have to throw a little Canadian in there for you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna translate what that means.
All right. Now, Terrence here. Hello, Terrence. Don't mind him. He's a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, so we always take what he says with a grain of salt. All right. He is asking, what is your take, then, on Ouija board movies?
Well, listen, I love them. I love all movies that have the Ouija board on it. It's fascinating. I like the fact that Ouija is in pop culture, and Ouija actually has its own role sometimes in the movies. For example, Witchboard, Kevin Tenney, who wrote that movie and then also directed it, he made Ouija board one of the main characters. If you've ever seen it from the 1980s, I think it was 86, 87 when it came out. So I love the Ouija movies, Terry. See, Terry. I'll tell you why, because it's fun. I mean, it's silly, it's kitsy, it's silly, it's stupid, and they try to scare you. So I go to one of the first Ouija movies that come out, the whole series of Ouija movies, and I'm just laughing. I'm seriously laughing. And when something happens, like somebody's going to get killed or something, I'm laughing because I think it's so silly. It's just so outrageous with the board. So I enjoy them. We all like to get a little scared sometimes, or a little bump and get scared, or a thump. So I enjoy them. I think it's great. And Hollywood really knew what to do. They're smart, you guys. Think about this. So in 1966, William Fold Company, who owned, which this board is a William Fold board right here, who owned the company, made Ouija for many years, okay? So in 1966, they finally sell out to, and this is Parker Brothers, my board's a Parker Brothers board. And that first year in production with Parker boards at the helm, they sold 1 million copies. They sold more than their largest selling game at the time, which was Monopoly. So think about this. The Ouija board was in many people's homes. It was in their attic, their basement, their closet. People used the board. They've been using it for years.
At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Now that football season's here, it's time to put some serious thought into what you'll be ordering from Uber Eats. Whatever's on your game day menu this NFL season, Uber Eats has you covered. They'll deliver whatever you order quickly and just how you want it, so you can stay in the game. Tonight, I'll be eating Uber Eats, the official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Uber Eats is bringing you game day deals all season. Order now.
At that point. And so Hollywood kind of started using it, throwing it into movies. Even before that time, you would start seeing the Ouija board. So they took something that was being sold by a lot of people in a lot of places and being used and put it into production. And I think that was smart of Hollywood to do that. So, because look, again, we talked about this earlier, this device, this tool is so enigmatic, mysterious, it's about death. And people who doesn't like to talk about death sometimes, with scary movies. So they really use it to their advantage.
All right. Let's go to the United Kingdom, where Commonwealth Andrew is asking, have you ever talked to Elvis? No, because he's alive. I have not talked to Elvis. Because he's alive.
I will tell you this, though. I have a friend who uses the board, and she talks to her specialty is talking to people that were famous, like movie stars, okay, or like that. Now, having said that, I've been on some shows where we had some famous people come through. They specifically asked for it. And so I was talking to Dave earlier about this. When Art Bell transitioned, I didn't know Art Bell. but one of the radio hosts wanted to talk to Art Bell, and sure enough, he came through and gave a message, and it was him for sure. I can feel it. I can tell. And so the message was really cool. But yeah, so I'm not really after the famous people. I really like to, I'll tell you what my specialty is really bringing in your guides, communicate with your loved ones, your animals, your pets who have transitioned, reaching out into other dimensions, exploring, communicating with beings that are in parallel universes. I mean, there's some weird stuff that goes on, and we get really crazy here. Extraterrestrials. I mean, it's limitless. So that's really more my specialty, is going into these other dimensions. As crazy as it sounds.
All right. Follow up from Andrew. Have you ever found out who shot JFK?
No, but I got to tell you, I have another friend who he specializes in, when he's now doing direct channeling, he specializes in looking into the old, like JFK. He looked into that. I don't know what his results were. Again, that's not my fascination, but he would explore like Jesse James and all the outlaws, and he would get information on that, and he published it in his books. So there are people out there that do that. I kind of already know who shot JFK. Let's just say it was undercover CIA, FBI, people like that, 3-letter agencies.
just pushing it right there.
Just saying it. Just saying.
Nice.
Is that good?
Yeah. All right. The fedora wearing John Hudson is asking, what can you learn from a Ouija board that you cannot learn from cards, pendulums, etc.? What is special about Ouija?
I love this question, John. It's great. Okay, so there's nothing special about Ouija because it's yourself. You're the special person because you're using these tools. And you can get, I'm telling you, I can do so many readings without this board, and it's even quicker. I can get even more verbose, and I can get a lot more. But I will tell you this. This is what I like about the Ouija board. The Ouija board is called a talking board. It's made to talk. And so it's definitive. It's not like I'm going, well, I think what I'm getting is this message of somebody coming through who may have the name Anne. This is like direct. Hello, my name is Anne. You see, it's a very different situation. So because I do the cards, I do pendulums, I do all these different tools, the scrying. I love them all. But for me, the board, because it's so definitive, because it's moving around, and mine's not like gibberish when I'm doing it with a person that's been using it for a while. It's like direct words. And sometimes it uses words I have to go look up. So it's even beyond sometimes my own capabilities of even understanding sometimes the English language. But I like the fact that it goes from, it'll spell. And Dave knows, you've seen us do this, where it gives you these messages, and I get to feel it come through, and I get to feel the energy within, and it's direct. And it's to the point, and it's not the way I would normally talk. It's a whole nother level. So when I'm using these other tools, so like my tarot deck, it's me going, okay, well, this, I got this, and this means this, and I'm seeing this happen in your life. So something's going to fall apart, and then it's going to rebuild. It's that. This is very direct. So I love using them all. But my favorite tool, you guys, forever, I think it's going to be this way forever, is the board. For those reasons I just mentioned, John. Great question. Thank you so much for asking that.
All right. Ethan wants to know, is it possible to have a demonic entity attached to you with the board?
Ethan, that's a great question too. Okay, so I would put it back on you or the user and say, is it possible for you, I'll say Ethan, that you could get a demonic attachment? Everything with these tools, and I don't care what anybody tells you. Remember, I've been using this board for 48, almost 50 years, you guys. I think I came into the world with a board. Probably out of utero, I popped out with a board. So it's up to you. Do you think that's possible? It's amazing what our minds can do. It's amazing what our beliefs will do for us. It's amazing how we can create tulpas. We can create thought forms. We can create things to happen. We have psychokinesis. We have all these abilities within ourselves we don't give ourselves credit for. I don't believe for me that's possible, but people have told me it's possible for them. Now, I think a demon is something that's been shifted and changed, the wording. It's actually used to be called a daemon. And Socrates had a daemon, D-A-E-M-O-N, and it has different spellings, D-A-I-M-O-N. There's different spellings. And when Christianity came around and said, we don't like those philosophies and theosophies, we're going to change that word into demon. And they gave it a whole new meaning. So I don't believe in demons. I believe in daemons. I believe in energies. I believe that there's all kinds of beings out there, and I think beings have different personalities and attitudes. I think if there's anything evil, that can be on that threshold, which you want to call evil, it comes out of the hearts of man. We do such horrific, evil things to each other. It's ridiculous. And also, other energies, other beings, and other places can do the same thing. But I don't believe in that for me. But then again, ask yourself what you believe and what you're going to call forth when you use this tool. That's where, you guys, it goes back to your beliefs, intentions, and how you're going to use this device.
All right. Got to ask Carol's question. Who did your hair, and what do I tell my stylist to get mine like yours?
Oh, Carol, that's so sweet of you. Okay, so get this, you guys. There's a product called Overtones. Have you heard of it, Carol? It's called Overtones. I love it. See, my hair is naturally gray. I'm gray. I'm just, hey, Dave and I have the same color hair, right?
That's right.
But I've been gray longer than you, Dave.
I don't think so.
4 years.
Pardon me?
I've been gray 4 years now.
I started going gray when I was 25.
Oh, I did too, but I covered it up with color.
Not me.
Okay, so I've been gray since I was 29, okay? So this is the deal. My hair's gray, all right, Carol? So I do this myself. I get overtones, and you just put a little bit on the ends, because I just little, sometimes I'll put the whole color on me. I'll be like pink or whatever color, rose gold, but it's fun. Check out Overtones. You can do fun stuff with your hair, and especially if your hair looks like it's blonde, if it's lighter, it'll just soak that right up, and it just doesn't stay. It'll wash out after like 8 or 10 washes, but it's fun. It's fun to change it up, isn't it?
Totally. I should try that.
Oh, you should. You could do like red tips or green tips.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm sure when I go out in the forest, Bigfoot is going to absolutely love that.
I think so.
All right. We're continuing on here with questions for Karen A. Dahlman. And while we wait for more questions from our audience, Karen, I'm very curious for you. Are there certain spirit that you or entities that you will not try to communicate with?
Well, as we talked about a little earlier, I don't go sit down and go, oh, I like to talk to a demon.
No,
First of all, I don't believe in them. I don't believe him, and I don't believe him. And I wrote about, in this book, The Spirit of Alchemy, I wrote about the whole concept of evil and good, and I wrote about demons in here. And I had to because one of the populations I used to work with as a therapist, and I specialized, and it was called multiple personality disorder, which is called dissociative identity disorder now. People actually have the different personalities, alters, we call them. And this one gal actually had an alter called a demon. It was called Demon. And this demon was terrible. It would cut on her. It would put her in terrible places. It would try to kill her. I mean, it was horrible. Demon was the reason why she would end up in the hospitals in lockdown and stuff of that nature. I'm not going to share the whole story here, but I learned working with this demon character that he took on that name because he was the one that held all the abuse. And once he started realizing he was really trying to protect the person, it's like his name shifted to Dahlman. It's really interesting. Now that's an alter. That's a personality within. But I wouldn't sit down and go, okay, let me just go talk to a demon. But however, I'm not opposed to saying, let's talk to, a god or goddess, that kind of energy, an archetypal energy, a tulpa. I'll talk to most everything that's out there that wants to communicate. And this is the caveat, you guys, that has our best interest at heart. I don't want anything that's going to be just negative or make life worse. You guys, life is hard enough as it is, isn't it? And what we're all going through right now in the world is just chaos. So, but I always say, you come through, and people I have sessions, they want me to talk to somebody. I would say, as long as you are here with our best interest at heart, then you can come through. And so basically, I'm open. I'm open to allowing those beings to come through, because what I find is they want to come through because they have a message or they want to help. You guys, there's so much more, although what people have told you about the paranormal, there is so much more positive energy out there than you would think. Watching some of these shows where it's like, it's a demon, it's a devil, it's bad, it's evil. That's my evil voice. Did you hear that, Dave?
It totally freaked me out.
It did freak you out a little bit. I was just I have an exorcist voice too. I might do later. But the deal is that, I mean, it's like, I want to bring in, to me, it's evolutionary. It's about personal development. What's going to help people move forward in life? I mean, again, it's like therapy for me. So I approach it from that level, but I would talk to any kind of being as long as they want to come through and have a easy conversation that's not difficult. And I'd be okay with it. Like I speak to people that are, that have been murderers or have been murdered and horrific crimes. And That's not a problem at all.
All right. Joe is asking, if it's just a tool, can you use the Ouija board to talk to aliens or Bigfoot?
Absolutely. I talk to extraterrestrials a lot, and I've talked to Sasquatch. And by the way, he likes to be called Sasquatch or a Native American name. Bigfoot sounds very derogatory. They specifically told us that. And so when I communicate with these beings, which we might call mythological creatures or cryptids, I tap into, here you go, this is where it gets really woo-woo, if it hasn't gotten woo-woo already for you guys, the consciousness, the oversoul of that species. Sometimes I speak to somebody directly, like we talk to animals all the time, wild animals, like a wolf. I actually tapped into the consciousness of one wolf who was in Montana and was telling us, it was a female wolf, her whole plight, what was going on in her life. And so when you tap into the oversoul or the consciousness of this being, you tend to get information that comes through and it's communicated in a language I can understand. Now, it's not like they speak English. It's not like they're communicating with me like a human, like we might talk. What they're doing is they have an interpreter, which tends to be the oversoul, or it could be another spirit helper on the other side that will help explain the message. So that's how you communicate with animals. It's like they give you, because I can communicate with animals. Sometimes I'm not as good with it. I'm better on the board. But when I sit with an animal, I can get their messages, and I'll do it with my own animals. But what I find is if you develop a relationship with one being, and I call this your master or mistress of ceremony or your gatekeeper, it could be a guide. It's developed and changed over the years for me as different beings have come in and out of my life. They will help interpret what the animals are wanting to communicate, or in this case with Sasquatch or extraterrestrial, they'll help with the interpretation. And it's typically done through telepathy, or it's done through images, feelings, thoughts. It's not an English language, and they'll interpret it to spell it out on the board so we can get it and receive the message.
All right. Oracles wants to know, Karen, what do you do to open up your third eye for the best communication?
I love that question. I've been working so hard more recently. Okay, a lot of us, most of us, I'm just going to say this, you guys, we come into this world with our third eye more open. And through conditioning and the environment and what we're told and taught, we tend to close it down. Also, when I say environment, I'm talking about the calcification of the pineal gland. It could be through fluoride. It could be through just hard metals. I detox a lot. I will go on a detox diet. I will also sit in a sauna, and I will purposely use kinds of herbs and stuff to help open up the pineal. And also I won't use fluoride anymore. I don't use parabens and stuff and cost. There's a lot of physical things you can do in your diet to do that. So I do that, number one, because my goal is to get back as I was as a child. And I've been doing this for a while now. So now I'm starting to see beings out here again, and not just in my mind's eye. I will see them physically, literally out here. And the book that I'm working on, been working on for a while now, is talking about how to do that. I mean, I'm going to be talking about third eye and opening that. So I will say this, oracles and beyond. I love this question because what I've found, again, doing this work on the board, and this is another reason why I love the Ouija board. It's really helped. It's helped me develop as I've realized I've been doing the work. I've developed these abilities. And so what I say is this: if you can find a way to balance I would say you call it your third eye chakra, your pineal gland. Imagine that's connected to your heart. And I mean like through a visualization or through a light. I've used sounds to do it. I've done some mantras to do it. But I can imagine that this here, the mind and heart are connected. Just imagine that. And when you start doing that, it allows you to, if you can open your heart, it connects to your pineal, and that's when that starts going off. You've got to work here in this space, you guys. It's in your heart space. And so the more open I am in my heart space and allow that channeling to happen, it helps this part open, where I could start seeing it and experiencing it out here. That's my goal. Because when as a child, I could see everything. I was just so open to this stuff. And then I shut it down. And you guys, many of you guys out there do. Many of you guys did the same thing I did. So, but you can get it back. But it's a process of working on a lot of different levels, like I mentioned. Great question. Love it.
All right. Skip to Malou is asking, are Ouija boards and gematria connected?
Well, I guess it could be. All right, so I like to call it bibliomancy. which is like gematria. You know, you might take the Bible and open it to a certain page and get a message. Where Ouija boards, I mean, you're getting messages, but Ouija board, it's more specific. So it's you ask, well, they both give messages. So I hate to say they're so different because you like, here we go. Here's a message for you guys. I'm gonna do bibliomancy or gematria here. Here we go. This is what they want me to tell you. Leaving duality behind means existing in the paradox. All right, there's our message for the evening. The paradox is what remains from perceiving things in relation to their contrast. Contrast is necessary. All right, that's an example. You just thumb through something, get a message. Well, the Ouija board, I would ask a question too, and it's really, I'm channeling something that's coming through the board or through me, I should say, and that gives you a message. So they're kind of similar in that sense. But with gematria or bibliomancy, you just got to get your book out and open it, right? This takes a lot of time and practice. This, for most people, is not going to work right out of the box unless you're a child because you're so open. But when you're adult, our ages and starting out, you're going to have your mind go, I can't do this. It's not going to work. It's not working. I'm impatient. So that's the difference. You might get a message quicker through your cards or quicker through bibliomancy, gematria, crystal ball. You might get messages quicker that way than you will with the board. Maybe that's the big difference, I would say.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Excalipurful is asking, what is the most evil entity you have talked to with the board?
I love that. It's great for Halloween. I wish I could say I had this really evil entity. I got to tell you, I haven't, okay? But I've talked to some things that are kind of spooky and creepy, okay? So I was invited to go to Cielo Drive. Is this ringing a bell for you, Dave? Cielo Drive and Beverly Hills, Hollywood Hills?
Sounds like the Manson murders.
Yes, it's where the Manson murders happened. And I was able to tap into the people that were murdered and get some information that while they're sticking around, and it's in one of my books. I share it. I'm not going to share it here, but it was pretty wicked. We went through the house. I didn't know where things had happened, where people experienced things. I said, don't tell me anything. I brought my friend with me who was really good at using the board, and we just walked through the house. We go to the lowest level in this house, and I think it was 3 or 4 floors. It was a lot of floors. I just remember that. It's right on the hills. You know, one of these big mansions on the hills, just right down the street from where the Charles Manson murders occurred. The Manson family murders occurred. And it's vortexes in there galore. And we walked into this one room. My friend almost puked. It threw her back. She got nauseous. I felt it too, queasy in my stomach. And then we walked into another room, and I could hear this belabored breathing. I mean, literally out here. She heard it too. I said, we're going to do the board right here. So it was kind of, stimulating, titillating. It was kind of scary, kind of spooky. She's like, oh my God. I go, shut up and sit down. We're doing the board right here. And so we got the board out. We used that board right there. And while we were using it, you guys, we could hear this.
Oh my God.
I mean, this deep, scary breathing, like somebody was like almost out of breath.
Hold that thought right there. You can finish the story when we get back. That's what we call a dramatic pause in radio, people. Going to break with the lovely and talented Karen A. Dahlman, the queen of the Ouija board. We have more audience questions about the fabled board coming up when we return on Spaced Out Radio Next. All right, we're clear.
Excellent.
Fun times. I'm going to get you to not answer any questions this time because I got it all planned out here now. Don't worry, Merle. We will get to your question. Don't worry, Merle. Merle. My buddy Merle. He'll be on tomorrow night with Ghosts of the Great White North. Everybody loves a little Merle time. When in doubt, Merle it out. Yep.
I love it.
Yep. It's good times. But first we got Ethan's question. That'll be your next question. Don't answer that now. I'm just saving
I
that.
won't.
So I can... Hello, Jeffrey DeRuin. How are you? Let's see who else is snuck on in here. The lovely Jeanette Sanchez. Mondak, what's happening? And who else has joined us late here? Dirty Phil, thank you so much for that super chat, buddy. Yep. We need a Karen Dahlman cartoon, Filth. He does cartoons for people.
Oh my God, I love it. I want to be a cartoon. That sounds like fun.
He He does all of our cartoons for the show. He's just an amazing talent.
Oh, wow. That is really awesome.
Tony the Rock Fams, how are you? How's your beard? Let us know. And, lots of questions coming up here for you. Lots of questions. Grady, Travis DeLuca, good to see you. Everybody's Merle. Mark Sanchez, what's happening? Merle's all excited. He's all excited about coming back on the show tomorrow night. Karen, you're amazing. I'm just going to tell you that right now. You're pretty amazing.
Well, you're very, very kind. Thank you for having me.
At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Now that football season's here, it's time to put some serious thought into what you'll be ordering from Uber Eats. Whatever's on your game day menu this NFL season, Uber Eats has you covered. They'll deliver whatever you order quickly and just how you want it, so you can stay in the game. Tonight, I'll be eating Uber Eats, the official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Uber Eats is bringing you game day deals all season. Order now.
Oh, no problem.
Some people say they've never used a board before. Never messed with a board before.
I have.
That's great.
Totally.
I know you have. We've spoken about that before.
Totally messed with me. The jerk. Still pissed off about that, Karen.
I know. Well, there's a lot. You know what? It's like the perfect timing to do it. Things have got to come together. It's like the stars have got to be aligned. I mean, and you got to really align it within yourself. That's the key.
Oh, true. Very true.
Then you can have incredible experiences. I mean, I like to explore and discover. I mean, I see this tool as a tool of discovery.
I know.
It's exciting and enticing. I mean, I write books. You guys, they help write my books. When I say they, the guys that I work with.
Mm-hmm. Am I ever going to finish my book?
Yeah, are you?
I've been working on it for 3 years now.
Well, you know, I get it. It's like you have to just commit to it. It's just, you guys, writing a book is not easy. I'm telling you. You got to be very dedicated.
I am, I think, 3/4 done. I think.
Dang, punch that out and finish it.
I know, I have to.
Make a goal. Like, say you're going to have it done by January 15th or something. Make a goal.
My problem is finding time.
I know. I hear you.
That's my problem. Mm-hmm. Totally my problem. And I know people want it, so.
Oh, I do. I know. You need to get it out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I got other projects I want to start, too. So
yeah,
we got just
there's
over a minute.
So many projects going on. I'm with you. I got so many things going on too. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I'm trying right now. I'm trying to catch up. I'm looking over here to catch up on all the comments and stuff because they wanted to talk about the boards behind me. Yeah, interesting board. There's a lot of stuff we have to talk about here.
Yeah, we'll get to it. I promise. All right, I do have a bunch of questions here for you. So.
Yeah, and time flies by, you guys. I only need questions. I could just keep talking. You guys know that. You could see.
Oh, yeah.
I love the Ouija board, if you haven't noticed.
Love. All right. Thank you, Dirty Phil. Thank you, Jennifer Richardson Elizalde, and the Dutch Princess Sally for the amazing super chats tonight. Really do appreciate it. So thank you so much. And thank you to all the veterans tuning in and everybody else hanging on out with us tonight. We love you. Don't forget, if you're brand new, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, as here we go with the second half of the show. through the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Check out our Merle swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Karen A. Dahlman taking all your questions on Ouija boards tonight as we continue on with the queen of the Ouija board. Karen, welcome back.
Yay, it's great to be here with everybody tonight.
Where can people
fun.
find your book?
Well, I've got 3 books. You can go to KarenADahlman.com, and I sell them also on Amazon. So Amazon.com, look up Karen A. Dahlman, and you'll find them there.
Wonderful.
Oh, we're also in Kindle, too. So sometimes people would rather do Kindle.
Not a problem. Let's get back to audience questions. Ethan is asking, what's your scariest experience you've ever had?
Okay, well, I want to finish the story I was telling you about Cielo Drive, and I will get to that question. Okay, right. All right, so we were in there, and there's this breathing. We could hear it, literally external, and she heard it too. We're like, oh, what is that? So this is kind of scary, but I have a scarier one than this. And it was like somebody's like out of breath, like just, it was horrible. It was just nauseating. And we were using the board, and I go, we got to get this message here. And they came through and gave us some incredible messages. It was Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring, and also Stephen Parent. Stephen Parent was the guy who showed up at that night, who had nothing to do with the friends getting together, but he was killed, just shot point blank. And he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. A right place at the wrong time. Wasn't in the right place. It was wrong place, wrong time. And he got shot. And he's like, one thing he said, he goes, all these famous people, everybody knows about them. They don't know who I am. Most people don't even know about this other guy because you hear about it a little bit. But he's like, I want you to know that my life mattered too. I lost my life that night too. So there's more to the story than that. They hang out in this space because they want their story to be heard, but it's never been disclosed. So you got to read the book to find out what that message is. So that was kind of creepy. Okay. That was kind of creepy doing that. But to answer Ethan's question, I've had some scary, I'll be honest, scary things, because it's like when you do using the board and maybe you see a spirit at the same time, or because of the board, I see spirits sometimes better. So one night I'm not going to go the whole story. It's a long story, but I was in Mexico on a golf trip with a girlfriend. This is, I think 8 years ago now. It's been a while. I think it's about 8 years ago. And unbeknownst to me, she brought her glow in the dark Ouija board. I was really just playing. I just brought my clubs. I was going to go golf, kick back at the beach and golf and have a good time. And just, we were getting up early in the morning and not, it wasn't like a party thing. It was more like, let's golf. So we go to bed early, and I have to get up and go pee. So I get out of my bed, and her bed was the next one closest to the bathroom. And I walk around my bed, past hers. And all of a sudden, Ethan, what happened was this apparition went right in front of my face, like right in front of me. This apparition popped up, half a body. Okay. There was nothing down here. It was from here up. And it was this woman with dark hair pulled up with a comb, big puffy white sleeves. And she looked like she was Victorian era. And she just went boom in front of me. And I went, and then as soon as I did that, she went, and she also, I popped over here. Oh my God, there's a ghost in the room. And then she popped away. Well, I mean, I'm freaked out, you guys. I had to sleep with the lights on. And my friend's like, what are you worried about? You talk to ghosts all the time. I go, nope, I do, but they don't just pop in like this. I hadn't seen a ghost in quite a few years before that one. Now I still see them every now and then, but this was probably the scariest one because I wasn't expecting it. And it turned out she had the Ouija board she brought. I didn't know it. I found out that night. She had the little glow in the dark planchette, you guys, that glows in the dark, sitting on the nightstand, pointing at me. And I go, what? I go, that's like saying, 1-800-CALL-KAREN on the planchette. I mean, because when they would tell me when I use the board, they'd say it's like this light. Because when you do use this tool, when you work this tool, it's like you have to radiate this light to bring in the energies. And they say, we see this light and we come to you because we know you can communicate with us. So I was like, what the heck are you doing? I wasn't going to do that. But anyway, that started a whole story, and the story gets even better from there. But that's it. That was a very scary experience for me.
Oh my goodness. That is awesome.
It gets better. If you read a book, it gets even better. It's in this book.
All right. Let's get to Merle here. In your opinion, I'm going to read it like Merle. Karen, in your opinion, what is the difference between a spirit box and a Ouija board?
Oh, I love that. You did that little accent thing. That's fun. Okay. There isn't much of a difference. Okay. Let's talk about the obvious difference. One is new school. One is old school. We got no electronics here where the box does, right? So you got new school coupled with old school. I like to use them both together, to be honest with you. When I do investigations, somebody always has like a spirit box with them or some kind of meter, and they're doing that when I'm doing this. So, but really, there is no difference in terms of you're trying to get a communication. You're trying to tap into something beyond this existence and to see what kind of message or information you can get back, right? So they're very much alike. And so people go, oh, I'm afraid of the Ouija board, but not a spirit box, not a K2 meter. I'm like, why? You're going in there to get some kind of connection. I'm using the board to get a connection. So they're very similar in those regards. Good question.
All right. Jeffrey is asking, have you ever encountered Zozo from the Ouija? And what is that entity?
So I do talk a lot about Zozo in one of my books because it's necessary to talk about it. So, we, as I mentioned earlier, we have the ability with our minds to create all kinds of things. And science has proved that even your mind, when your mind thinks something's true for you, your body's going to respond as if it really is happening. So let's say you're creating all kinds of fear in your life. Your body's going to, your adrenaline rush, you're going to get your system moving, and your body's going to go, oh, scary, scary. Oh my God, we got to run. We got to fight or flight kind of thing. Your body's going to follow what your mind is telling you. So we have to really think about that in relationship to a lot of these tulpas or thought forms or what they want to call entities that are out there. So I see Zozo more like an archetypal energy, which I'm not saying it's not real. I'm not saying it's fake. I'm kind of saying it could be something we self-create. Do we have to? Do we have to get that? No. I also want to say there's a phenomenon that happens when you use this board, especially if you're by yourself or if you're just brand new at using it. What happens is this planchette will start going from side to side. And when it does that, you're going to notice there's vowels over here, A and O. Y could be a vowel sometimes, right? And you've got consonants over here. So you're going to get things like this. Ma, 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 mo, 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 za, 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 zo. See what I'm saying? That's going to come up naturally anyway. And then we try to make a system out of it. We try to make it like into something. And I'm not saying it has to be. So I could get that back and forth, and I would just call it Oz. It's like I'm kind of like being smart about it. Smart ass. But the thing is this, you're going to get that phenomena that happens. And also, it's what you believe. If you believe you're going to talk to a demon or you think Zozo's real, there's a lot of things your minds can create. We can create things for ourselves. So do I think it's a real entity? I don't. But I think when we believe in something being real for us, it becomes real for that person. So not to take it away from anybody, meaning I know Darren Evans, we're friends. We both differ in this opinion. We've been at conferences before speaking on the same stage, and we have a very different opinion about it. I know when that whole thing started, and he and I have spoken about it many times. He's had some experiences, and not to discount his experiences, they don't have to be your experience. If you don't want to have Thin Man or Mothman or some of these other creatures coming through, you don't have to. But you may experience the cryptid. It depends on yourself. But you don't have to have Zozo. So if you're going to use the board, don't let that be a fear factor or something you think it's going to take over the board, because it doesn't have to happen.
All right, Nicola wants to know, do you ever fear the board at all or at certain times?
Never fear the board ever. Never once in my life. Never once. To me, I got it when I was 8. I got it on Christmas. I went to church right after I got it. And then I came home after my CCD and, played with the board. Back then I would play. You won't hear me using those words. I say now using the board or operating the board or using the tool because I take it really seriously because I want to have good responses. But no, I've never once feared the board. You guys, I have them all over my house. I use them as decor. Somebody mentioned earlier the boards are really beautiful pieces of artwork. I want to concur 100%. I didn't get into collecting boards till maybe it's about 15, 18 years ago. I thought a Ouija board was a Ouija board. They all were the same. And then I realized, oh my God, there's so many different brands out there. There's talking boards, spirit boards, and there's the Ouija. And Ouija has so many differences to each board, depending on who made it, what era, what size they made it, which factory was creating it, stamped differently. And so I got into that, and that's really cool to just collect. I mean, my fellow colleagues at the Talking Board Historical Society, they're all avid collectors, and I have the smallest collection of all of them. They have hundreds, and they have them all over their house too, and they've had no experiences because we all just love the board. We love it for different reasons. I love it because it's my cosmic phone. I can communicate with a lot of different beings, and it's really given me guidance over the years in terms of talking to my spirit guides. It's just a beautiful extension in my life. And again, because I have them all over my house and I have them hanging up, I admire the ingenuity and the artwork about them. And I have also ones that are just, you would call like talking boards, like this one back here, the one that's made after Witchboard. I pointed it out earlier. It's a handmade one. It's drawn after the Witchboard, and it's just it's a labor of love, And so people make boards for me all the time. And I have these incredible glass boards made out of trees, like tree stumps, boards made out of round, it's just all kinds of boards. And they're beautiful. And so I'm not afraid of them at all. I love them.
All right, let's get to Gary's question. He's asking, I heard that who you are contacting is not your dead uncle or grandfather. It's a demon disguised as your dead relative. Watch what you are playing with. Is there any truth to this?
For me, no. Absolutely not at all. Not at all. But then again, I've been using the board for such a long time. So when I was younger, I was like, oh, I'm kind of worried about that, kind of thinking about that. As I said earlier, as I started progressing and tapping into my higher self, that made all the difference. Once so I can communicate with my higher self. I used to talk to my higher self on the board all the time. Now I just do a direct connection. The guides who I work with taught me how to do this, and I teach people how to do that. When you start doing that, you're not afraid. A lot of fear leaves doing any of this kind of work because you realize you're always safe. Because when you plug in, you've got this like extra superpower. That's what it is. It's you're tapping into your superpowers. And it's helped me tremendously. So yeah. So doing that, it just gives me that little extra strength I need, and it makes it safe and it makes it comfortable, and the messages that come through. And so, yeah, there's no trickster coming through anymore. And I do talk about that because I know it happens for people. And I call it the dead zone. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. And if you go to my YouTube channel, Karen A. Dahlman, I've got like 220 plus videos. A lot of it on there is all about the Ouija board or doing other kinds of work in the unseen dimensions, other kinds of exploration stuff. A lot of guests on there too, but I do talk one video about the traversing the dead zone. I think that's what I called it, or getting through the dead zone. Watch that video because it's going to show you how it gives you tips and pointers of how to navigate through that and get beyond all this gibberish and this weird stuff. Because once you get through that, you empower yourself to not have to ever go there again. By the way, Filthy, thank you. You said you're enjoying the show. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for being with us.
All right, let's get to another question. Jeff is wondering, can a computer keyboard be used like a Ouija board?
100% yes. That's channeling. Absolutely. I have friends who use nothing but a keyboard. Ruth Montgomery, this is from years ago. She was back in Washington as like a journalist. Do you know Ruth Montgomery? Do you remember her name?
No, I do not.
She wrote a bunch of spiritual books on channeling back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I think I was reading her in the 80s. Okay, so anyway, she would use a typewriter and just started channeling that way. I have other friends who do that. Sometimes I get into an automatic writing. I go do this writing with my pencil, and then I will go to the computer. And when I write my books, sometimes it comes through automatically like that. I just let it go. I don't even think. So yes, that's a great way. If you for some reason the Ouija board's not for you, sit at a keyboard. Try that. Try tapping out. And what you have to do that, you have to do like a flow of consciousness, meaning don't judge what you're saying. Don't second guess it. Don't question it. Just let it flow. It may be gibberish at first, but you got to get out of your way. That's how you do channeling. When you do direct voice channeling or even psychic readings or mediumship or any of this stuff, you got to get out of your way and step aside. When I'm doing the channeling, even on the board, I purposely distract myself. And when I do voice channeling, I have to step aside. I don't even remember what I said. And when I do my readings, I hardly remember what I'm saying because it's like I'm just allowed it to flow. But you got to step aside to let that happen. And I think you guys, a lot of you out there probably understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, totally. Got a question here from Sandra. She wants to know, what would ETs have to say on a board?
Well, they say a lot of different things depending on the message. Here's an example. I'll give you one of our sessions. So I was meeting up with Rose Marilyn Guiley and her husband Joe, and we were going to the Joshua Tree Inn. It's where Parsons committed suicide. And we were staying, and she actually rented his room, and I had the room next door to it. And so we went in there to Graham Parsons. We're going to bring him through. She had her spirit box, Frank's box. I had the Ouija board. We're going to do this, bring through the messages. And oh my God, you guys, instead, she had seen a light in the sky, and she hadn't mentioned it to us. And it was a peculiar sky light. And out there in Joshua Tree, it's like you don't have a whole lot of lights. The ground lights, and the stars are phenomenal out there in the desert. Kind of near Palm Springs area in California. So we sit down thinking, we're going to bring Graham Parsons through. Usually I'm pretty good at bringing somebody through that's there or whatever, their energy. Nope. An extraterrestrial came through. I was like, what is this? He's like, I wanted to try this technique. I've heard about it, how you people channel. I want to see if we can do this. And he said, I wanted to talk to you. It was like very much, he explained he's humanoid. It's not like some weird eyes and antennas or little green man. It was totally like a humanoid being on a ship. He said, yes, you saw us earlier talking to Rosemary. And he gave a message. He said, and this, I got to tell you, they say this message a lot. I talk to them. I can't force them to come through. You can never force any being to come through. But then when they do come through, typically the message is about humanity and we need to get our act together. And there's going to be no major disclosure until they're not afraid we're going to just, shoot them down or hurt them somehow. So they're very hesitant. It's, excuse me. It's a very similar message that you get from a lot of these different beings saying, well, you just can't show up into your realm. And Sasquatch says the same thing too. We really need to stay away from you people. You guys are dangerous kind of thing. We really want to stay far from you. But that's what they say. They tend to say that, and they tend to give messages. One of them, excuse me, I got something in my throat now. Maybe I need some hot sauce.
It works.
One of the messages that I got years ago when they first came through, they were talking about meditation on the seventh spiral of the purple flame. I'm like, what is this? And they were talking about how there was two planets that warred. One was Maldek and one was Mars. I knew nothing about Maldek. Now I do know about Maldek. And Maldek and Mars went to war. And what happened was they blew up Maldek, and Maldek became the astrobelt. They're telling me all this, okay? This is like 1989, 90. I knew none of this. And then they said, we ended up coming to your planet, and who you're talking to now are some of us that actually went to other planets. And I was like, they were not dead. They were alive. There's like the race of beings. I was like,
At Capella University, education is as smart as the world around us. With the FlexPath format, you can take classes at your own pace, set your own deadlines, and even leverage your previous experience to move faster. Now that's smart. Learn more at capella.edu.
Now that football season's here, it's time to put some serious thought into what you'll be ordering from Uber Eats. Whatever's on your game day menu this NFL season, Uber Eats has you covered. They'll deliver whatever you order quickly and just how you want it, so you can stay in the game. Tonight, I'll be eating Uber Eats, the official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Uber Eats is bringing you game day deals all season. Order now.
Like, okay, this is weird. So I put that one away, and I didn't know how to really broach this subject because I was really like, okay, I just want to talk to my angel. I just want to talk to the angels, That was a little too much. But then they came back, and I communicate with different beings from different dimensions. I wouldn't call them extraterrestrials, but they aren't on this planet. So maybe you would call them extraterrestrials, but some of them are humanoid looking, some of them aren't. And they come through at different times when they choose to. And a lot of times they talk about just humanity and how we're kind of screwed up right now. But they're always positive. I've never had anybody come through and just say, oh, it's not going to happen. They're just like, you're our space brethren. We're you. You're part of us. Right. It's like trying to be more like we're in this together kind of thing. So yeah, they give you some interesting messages.
All right, couple questions from Gorgeous Larry as we got about 4.5 minutes here for our break here at the top of the hour. Does gematria work or is it real? And does the powers that be use gematria in business and politics?
Well, I couldn't talk about how people use it, like are they using it in their life. I've heard they are, but I couldn't give you an example of that. But yeah, I think it does work. I mean, you get these messages and you can do, there's a lot of stuff out there about gematria. I prefer bibliomancy, like I was showing you earlier. You just open a book and get a message because you ask a question first or say, I need a message from me today. And you just randomly go through a book and then read that for yourself. It's almost like pulling a card. Like, here's a card I pulled. Like, here, I pulled this card earlier for us. It's that kind of thing. But yeah, gematria, it's a real science. I mean, when I say science, it's a real art form. It's a real art form. They've used it for years, and I believe in it.
All right, let's continue on here.
What about you, Dave? What do you think about gematria?
I know nothing about it.
Oh.
That's why I'm just going to sit and quiet, put my duck lips on. Right? Big Willie says, could you use anything in place of the board, for instance, a crystal or a precious metal to channel the energy of spirit with the right intentions and protection in place?
I gotta say, Big Willie, your beard's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Look at that beard he's rocking.
It's fantastic.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah, listen, you can. So I have right here my labradorite, which I love. I love this, you guys. I use this when I do my readings. It's like a talisman. I don't need it. And by the way, like, again, these are all just tools, right? This is a tool as well. I love it because it makes me feel like, and I know it helps because this is how I program it. It's for the upper chakras to open up, to really bring in wisdom and guidance. And when I do my readings, so I always have this with me. I have it with me right now. So yeah, you can use something like this. You can use the crystal ball I showed you guys earlier. The idea is, it's not the tool, it's ourselves. And I told you, I'm going to say this 1,000 times. So you can take these cards and you could read them literally with a book, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to get nowhere. You're going to get nowhere developing your own skills. So if I take a card like this, I'm going to read it for what I'm getting. It's going to be different for each person. Although I know this card has certain indications, I might start with that, but I'm going to go off of that. And that's called channeling. So yes, you can take anything you want to use as a focal point. It could be, watch this, you guys, your phone. Well, when it's black, hold on a second. When you get a screen like that, if it's all dark like that, you could scry on this. That's your black mirror scrying right there. You don't need a black mirror. You could use this and scry into it. It's just a way to start letting yourself project and let messages come. And the key is yourself. You got to open yourself and work on yourself. And the place where that starts, Big Willie, is in your heart, learning to, here we go. This is the key, you guys. This is what I want everybody to take away from here tonight. If you want to do any of this work, and I'm not even talking about the Ouija board, just even opening up to the dimensions to bring in guidance, wisdom, as you said, energy or spirit, you've got to open your heart, which means you've got to allow yourself to feel your emotions. People want to sweep that stuff away and cover it up and hide your skeletons in the closet. You've got to be conscious of these things, and you got to allow yourself to feel. When you allow yourself to feel, I find myself when I do sessions, I'll cry. I'll get emotional because I feel the energy coming through, and it's powerful. And when you start learning to feel those feelings, it's like, then that becomes this whole channel, a vessel, if you will, what would I say? A segue, a permission slip, a way to be able to bring in the energies. And so that's the key here. And so if you want to use the tool, here's this wonderful, I just found this the other day when I was out hiking. It's this rose quartz. You can see it's kind of hard. It's a rosy color. And I'm using this now. I just love it. It came to me. I was asking a question I found on the ground. I was like, oh, that's the answer to my question. So yes, you can. You can use all these things as tools. You don't need a board. I just like the board because it's a talking board. It spells. I can get really direct, definitive answers. Great question.
All right, we've only got about 20 seconds left before we got to go to break. We do have more questions from our audience for Karen A. Dahlman when we come back. And heck, the audience is asking some great questions. I might just continue that while we go through. And we got her till the bottom of the hour. And then, warm it up, people, is going to be, let's see, what can we call it here? See if our magic 8 ball is going to work after a plethora of negativity last week. I'm telling you, we're going to smarten this ball up. Shake it up. Get it ready. Get it warmed up. Magic 8 Ball right after Karen Dahlman. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we're clear.
Yay. I see a funny question in the chat room. It says, is it hard to be called Karen after all the, you're called a Karen? Yeah. I think it's hysterical. I don't take myself too seriously. I love humor. I love laughing. And I think it's funny because I'm not the stereotypical Karen. So when somebody says that, I just go, oh, that's not me they're talking about. But I think it's funny. Isn't it funny, Dave?
But if they start throwing out Ouija Karen, you're screwed.
I'd be like, right on, bring it.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't dropped a Karen yet. Do
one. I'll probably have something funny to say back. I mean, you guys, I think, you know what I've learned doing this work too, here's another secret, another key. You heard the one about feeling your emotions. The second one is get into a place of high vibration. One of the best ways to do it is to laugh, to have humor. And in fact, when I use the board, the guides, who I call the ones that always come through every time, and that's the ones you've spoken to. They've spoken to you before, Dave. They are hysterical. And they purposely will do funny things on the board and say funny. They'll go LOL, ha 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 ha. Oh, listen, just they'll call me certain names. They're like pet names or something. They're just hysterical, and I laugh. And it's just fun. When you can laugh about yourself, laugh at yourself too, and not take life so seriously, it raises your vibration, and that makes it a lot easier to do this work because you're not so rigid. I got to be a certain way, or you just go, I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. It's funny. Haha, laugh at myself. And it really helps with the channeling for sure.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
It is awesome. It's fun to laugh.
Absolutely it is. When your throat's not sore, but that's okay.
Brasselhoff says he goes, he defends Karen's. Oh, I love it. That's so sweet of you.
Yes. That's our man.
That's great.
All right. Let's give, right here, this is a good one here. Jose, let's say happy birthday to his lovely mother, Rosa, tonight. Happy birthday, Rosa. May you have just the most wonderful and special birthday ever. From all of us at Spaced Out Radio, much love to you. I would give you a giant hug if I was there right now. Big birthday hug. So let's wish everybody, Jose's mom, Rosa, a happy birthday. We'll give you a few claps, too. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Rosa.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Big J, how you doing? And Alex Kuhn, what's happening, man? Peppa H, good to see you. Skip to my Lou. I love that name.
I do too.
Mm-hmm.
Skip to the Lou, my darling.
Absolutely. Karens are better than Felicias.
Oh, that's true.
Very true.
That's true. Bye, Felicia.
Right? So, any more Paracons coming up this year?
I was supposed to be, actually, this week, I was supposed to be in Virginia, and they had to push that out till Memorial Weekend in the United States, which is in last weekend in May in 2023. So if you guys are on the East Coast, I will be in Virginia, Belle Grove Plantation. In Virginia, it's that weekend of Memorial Weekend for the United States in 2022. I'm trying to think, do I have any other things? I'm doing a lot of online stuff. I just did an online event. So we'll see what comes up. Something else will probably pop up before then. But that's my next in-person event. How about you, Dave? You got a bunch of events going on?
I got nothing this year. The two events I was supposed to speak at got canceled.
Yep, right.
Hopefully we'll be in San Francisco in February.
Oh, which one's that?
UFO Con.
Ooh, fun.
I got one I can't talk about because I'm on the short list right now for... Actually, I will talk about it. I'm on the short list for MUFON's conference in July in Denver, Colorado.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
That would be wonderful. I'll be really I'll be upset if I don't get that one, because they're talking about UFOs in the media, and I think that I'm one of the only people who's really been targeting that entire campaign on the media narrative. And I was at one conference once where I was the only journalist there speaking at the conference, and I wasn't asked on the board about the media. They had a panel up above, and I literally got up and walked out because the people up there knew nothing about how the media works. No offense to them, but
no, I know, but it's nice to have that angle too, and it should be that it's not more than nice. It needs to be a balanced angle. So
absolutely,
yeah, I hope you get to do that. That'll be great.
I hope.
I used to go to Contact in the Desert for many years in a row. That's the big one.
Yeah, I would like to do that one. Hi, Joey Hayes. Good morning to you. Oh goodness, I missed my questions here. I got to scroll back up before I get caught here. Oh my goodness, how far up was this one?
Dave will end up disappearing at the Denver airport. Yeah, he's gonna go underground.
Probably.
They'll snatch him down there.
At least I'll know.
I know the stories about the Denver airport, right?
Oh yeah. All right. Big thank you to Dirty Filth, Jennifer, and Sally for the amazing super chats tonight. Thank you so much. Yep. And Karen, when we get to the break at the bottom of the hour, just wait through until we're in the break. Then I'll say proper good night to you.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. Here we go. Well, actually, we got like 10 seconds. All right, here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Just go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Talpa. Talpa is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Karen A. Dahlman. She's with us till the bottom of the hour, and we're taking your questions here on the Ouija board and what kind of contact she has had. Karen's website, KarenADahlman.com. Find her books there, and she's an incredible author. She's got 3 books out as well. Let's get this thing rolling. Karen, welcome back.
Thank you. Let's roll.
Crow Creek is asking, have you ever had contact with other cryptids like Dogman? If so, what's their story?
I have. Not Dogman specifically, but I have a good friend who really loves Dogman. I've tried. He hasn't come through yet. But I've got to tell you, I've had a lot of communications with Sasquatch. That's my favorite. I've had a lot of communication, you guys, with what you would call mythological creatures, such as dragons, mermaids. They're not mythological at all. Giants. They actually were in our realm at one time, and they had to slip out. So when people say, oh, I saw a mermaid, and these were stories that the mythologies were created around it, and all the fairy tales were created around that stuff to really explain that there were some beings here that might fall into those categories. It's all real. That's all real. But they just went into another and slipped into another dimension. For example, Cyclops. Those were real big giants with one eye. They went into another dimension, and you hear about, like, in the Bible, they talk about it. You hear about the Ulysses, the travels of Ulysses, the Cyclops. I mean, they were real beings, and some of them were demonized and killed, and all that's maimed. They go, we can't stay here with these humans. These humans are dangerous. We tend to scare away a lot of these other beings. The dragons were another one. They had to go, but sometimes people still see them. I haven't seen a dragon, but I do talk to them. go to my YouTube channel where we actually channel some of these beings, and you can see some of the messages we get. I also write them out, and you'll see us getting the messages, and we'll read them to you. So check that out.
Well, there we go. All right.
I would love to talk to Dogman, though. He just hasn't come through yet, or not even the Oversoul. I want to say Dogman. I had a guest on my show who talks to Dogman and sees Dogman all the time. I say all the time, quite a few times in his life. And his Dogman, actually, the being he talked to, his name's Parker Duvall. There you go. Go to my channel, look up Parker Duvall. It became one of his spirit guides. So he had this whole really interesting shamanic experience with Dogman. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
All right. Let's get to Rich Hilke. Karen, have you ever communicated with a Sasquatch? If so, what did they say?
Boy, they say a lot of things. In my new book, I'm going to be talking about some of the conversations we've had with them. I will say, I mentioned earlier, they prefer to be called what our Native Americans call them, whether that's skunk ape is okay. They don't like Bigfoot, but things like Sasquatch or Yeti, they like some of those other kinds of names. They say it's more in tune with the vibration of your native cultures who respected these hairy people, these hairy. They've talked. Here's an interesting. I'll share this with you. We've had a conversation with them. We were doing so. Rosemary was involved in a lot of these conversations. She was working on a book at one time about Sasquatch, and I can't remember if she ever got it finished before she transitioned. But she wanted to have some sessions also to do some research. And so one of the questions she asked, she said, "Hey, we tapped into the consciousness, the oversoul of the Sasquatch species. And she said, hey, a lot of times we see you in combination with what we would call extraterrestrials or beings from another planet. There seems to be like these portals, and you might see a spaceship, and you might see, or an unidentified flying object, let's call it that, and then a Sasquatch sighting. And this oversoul said, well, that's very interesting because every time we see you, we see those beings too. And so we make the connection that maybe you are connected to these extraterrestrial, your friends you call the ETs. But he went on and said a little bit more than that. But it's fascinating how they saw that those beings are here more because of humanity and not so much because of their group of species.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
CG has an interesting question. You have some cool Ouija boards in behind you. What are some unusual and interesting boards you've heard of or used?
Well, thank you very much. This is such a small part of my collection. All right. So now this board doesn't belong to me. It belongs to my colleague, Robert Murch. He has the very original first board made before it was actually stamped and patented with the word Ouija. It belonged to Miss Helen Peters, who was one of the business people who actually developed the Ouija board. And so he has that original one. I have it on my website where I'm holding it. You can go there and check out my website under galleries. You'll see that board. It's beautiful. That's an awesome board. It's very old, very rare. Now I have friends who have some really rare boards. I did a show recently with Gene Orlando. It was earlier this year. We did a 5-part series talking all about the unique board. So definitely check that out on YouTube. Again, look at, he's called the Wizard of Ouija. I call him the Wizard of Ouija because he really is. He's the man behind the curtain. He's been collecting boards. He's been using boards as long as myself, maybe a few years beyond me. And he's been collecting them for a very long time. And he has the longest, oldest website on the net called museumoftalkingboards.com. Go there and you can find out everything about all kinds of talking boards. But he has some really cool ones there. I've used boards that are made out of glass, made out of aluminum, made out of metal. Like I said, all kinds of wood, cardboard. And one of the best boards I think I've ever used is my paper sack board. I just take a paper sack, open it up, quickly write the letters and numbers on it, and use anything. I've used my phone as a planchette. I've even used my mouse. And by the way, I have a mouse pad. I've used this board before. With this as the planchette. So yeah, I use a lot of creative things. And if I don't have a board, I'm going to draw one out. And it doesn't matter what it looks like because it's not the board, you guys. It's ourselves making these connections. So thank you for that question.
Not a problem. All right. RB is wondering, have you ever been in touch with someone who lived on the lost city of Atlantis? That would be fascinating.
Okay, I have. And I want to say this. It was just the other day I was doing a reading for somebody, and the Atlanteans feeling of Atlantis was coming through very strongly. I don't know this person at all. It's a cold read. I don't even know who this person is. And I picked up on this Atlantean king, and I could describe him, what he looked like. And when I wasn't using the board, I was just channeling directly. And I wrote this and sent this to him, and I put it, I audio record my readings, and I sent it to him. He's like, oh my God, I just knew you were going to say Atlantis. He goes, I know I've had a past life there. Having said that too, as a past life therapist years ago, and also learning to become a past life therapist, I've been regressed where I've been on Atlantis before. By the way, a lot of people that are alive right now have been on Atlantis or Lemuria or Mu. We're all coming back to usher in this new awakening that's happening across our planet. So you guys, one of the things when I start talking about the Ouija board, it's hard for me not to bring in spirituality, because that's how I do the board. It's a very, it's such a beautiful spiritual practice and a art form. So you have to talk about, the spiritual aspect and how the energy is shifting in the world, and how this really helps cater and support this kind of work.
Very cool. All right. Love this question from Nicola. Have you ever channeled with fairies or?
At Capella University, education is as smart as the world around us. With the FlexPath format, you can take classes at your own pace, set your own deadlines, and even leverage your previous experience to move faster. Now that's smart. Learn more at capella.edu.
Now that football season's here, it's time to put some serious thought into what you'll be ordering from Uber Eats. Whatever's on your game day menu this NFL season, Uber Eats has you covered. They'll deliver whatever you order quickly and just how you want it, so you can stay in the game. Tonight, I'll be eating Uber Eats, the official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Uber Eats is bringing you game day deals all season. Order now.
Any of the little creatures?
Absolutely. And by the way, I think I've got some things like that on my website. My YouTube channel. Let me tell you this. My little friend that was called Imaginary Playmate was not imaginary, very real. His name's Dacky. I wrote all about him in my third book, The Spirit of Alchemy. He presented himself looking like an elf. Like he really looked like an elf or a sprite. And when he presented himself, I thought I put him away. I thought I got rid of that when I went to school. My mom goes, you can't talk to things that aren't there. I go, Mom, he's here. No, you can't talk to things that are there. People are going to make fun of you in school. So I was like, okay, Dacky, I can't talk to you anymore. So I thought I put him away. And you guys, a funniest thing happened. So I'm working on this book, The Spirit of Alchemy. And I had no idea. So I was channeling a lot, meaning I would have my tape recorder and I would go out walking. That's when I connect with source and spirit. And I would just start talking what was coming through. And next thing I know, a poem started coming through me, this beautiful poem. And I heard, this is Dacky. And I went, what? I haven't talked to you like in about 40 years. I seriously, like 38, 40 years ago, where the hell have you been? But the story unfolds in here. But he wrote this incredible poem. I wrote it out after I talked. I dictated it, wrote it out, and I hardly changed the thing, and it's in here. So there's such, having these connections, you guys, these connections with the unseen dimensions and all these different beings, it just, what's the word? It widens your experience to life. It really shows you that true, real magic exists, that the world is mystical, and that it really is loving. Because all these beings are just benevolent. They're so pure and loving, and they want to help humanity. And that's been my experience with this tool, and my experience off the board too with all these different beings. But yes, thank you for asking about the fairies and the little creatures. They are real too. All of these, when I say real, meaning people see him, and I saw mine. He was real. Nobody could take that from me. Definitely.
That is very, very cool. Very cool. All right. Magnus wants to know, what's your thoughts on John Dee's scrying mirror?
I love John Dee, the alchemist, one of the most famous alchemists. I love his work. Listen, scrying is fantastic. Nostradamus scryed when he put his bowl of water out and he would start getting his quatrains. It was through scrying through water. That's one of the original forms of divination, was getting a bowl of water or looking into a brook or looking into a stream. But a bowl of water was great because it would make the water sit, and then you could get images. That is a form of scrying. This is a form of scrying using like I said, your phone. You could scry right there. Sorry, it's got to be black when you do it. Or I actually have a scrying mirror, which is just a frame with this painted black in there, and I can look into that and scry. Fantastic. I think scrying is a great place to start. Now, to scry, you guys, you got to be. I did a whole video on scrying. Rosemary Ellen Guiley was on my show. She and I were really good friends, you guys. She was on my show and I had her talk all about Black Mirror scrying. So check that out. That's on my YouTube channel too. She gets into detail about it. The thing is with scrying, it can be hard. I don't want to put anybody out and say, don't do it, because you have to really, again, get into your heart and let go, and not go, I'm making this up. You have to really go with it. And it takes a while to do that. Where to me, the board takes a while to learn to use it, but it's very definitive. Again, it hits the letters. It gives you a direct message. Scrying's more like, well, I think I'm seeing this and I'm hearing this. So it becomes a senses. The scrying is not like you're going to look in the water, you're going to see these images appear like, like, was it the Wizard of Oz? She gets in and looks in her little crystal ball and I see these things, my pretties. It's not like that. You might see some things like I've done, but then you actually use it as a focal point to bounce off of. As I was mentioning earlier, when I read cards, I don't just go, oh, this is what this means. It means something different for each person depending on what I'm channeling and coming out. It's a springboard. So use these tools when you scry or any of these tools as a springboard to allow yourself to bring in the messages which will come through images, feelings, thoughts, sensations. It could be a random picture. It's going to come through in many ways, but that's a great place to start. Thank you, Magnus, for asking that. John D is great. You guys look him up. Famous alchemist.
You collect boards. I know Robert Murch collects boards, and there are many others out there. Has this become a major part of, the history of Ouija board, is trying to find these old boards?
Absolutely. It's so funny. When the collectors first started getting, I joined, I was actually, you have to be asked to join the collectors group. I think I've been with them 4 or 5 years now, but they started a few years before me. And the whole thing was about these people who were friends. And actually they were originally competitors trying to get the rarest boards and finding them, whether it was through estate sales, eBay. eBay was in its infancy. So it was more like estate sales and going places to find these boards, and they would compete with each other, and they decided to be frenemies. They became friends actually, and then they formed the Talking Board Historical Society so we could actually do the research and tell you facts, the truth about the board, and how the different types of boards and what years those were made and printed. So we're geeks. We're kind of geeks when we get into the board. I love collecting, but my specialty is using the board. I'm more into using them, but I love, again, the artwork of the boards and just all this historical significance of the boards. And I guess this too, what's cool about the boards, not just the Ouija board, but the boards like just regular talking boards, especially the boards that came out in the 40s, they really mimicked pop culture. So back then, people were really into the Middle East or Egypt because it was so foreign in the 30s and 40s. So they started making boards with that theme. And so you'll see a lot of boards that just transition over the years that reflect the theme of what was going on in the pop culture and our psyche. It's pretty cool. So you get the history on that level. It's really fascinating to see, how people would express that, what was popular in people's lives. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I love it. I love it for that reason. And I love it again, because I love to use them all.
No kid. And that's awesome. So, the big thing that I'm curious about in collecting, if people are going to garage sales and they see a Ouija board, what should they be looking for, the difference between, say, a $10 board at a garage sale and something that could be worth a hell of a lot more?
Well, you may not know, because if you're not into collecting already, and so, you know what, send it to me. Listen, this is what I say about collecting boards. Collect the boards that resonate with you, that you go, I just really like this board. I don't care if it's a $10 board. I don't care if it's a cardboard board. I mean, I have, like, this is an extra board. I didn't need it. It mimics this board back here. But when I go train and do workshops, I will bring these boards. People can use a real Ouija board. They'll be my extra boards to use. But I just picked up another glow in the dark board. I don't need it for my collection, but it's like, I like it. I like the glow in the dark board. I'll use it in my classes or something. So really, the board that's you're going to like the most and that might start your collection is the board that you just enjoy. You see it and you go, oh, I really resonate with that board. It's cool. And it might just be a talking board or a spirit board. It may not be a Ouija board. And like I said, people make them too. And you might just get into collecting one-off boards that people make. So when you go to a garage sale and you see any kind of board, and if you want to get into this, that's the best way to do it. You're going to get a cheaper board. You can use anything for the planchette. I like to use it like a double old fashioned. You could use a shot glass. I like to use CD. I don't have them in front of me. You know the old CDs, like you're not using anymore with the hole in the middle? Those work great as planchettes. So you could use a nice flat stone. You could use a quarter or a silver dollar. There's a lot of things you can use. And so just pick up any board you find and start there. And don't worry what the significance of it is. But if you want to know what board you have, you could go to the Talking Board Historical Society, send us pictures. We'll tell you what you have. We'll tell you what you found because we know them all. Now, there's still some boards out there we're looking for. I'm not going to tell you because we want to get them before you do.
Wow.
We're serious about this, you guys. We're serious about it.
Just holding out on us just like that. We have under 5 minutes to go here with Karen A. Dahlman tonight. Grady wants to know, what were the boards from the Civil War times like?
Okay, so when Civil War was going on, that was, we had the movement of the spiritualist movement going on. So when the time the Civil War stopped, the boards weren't out yet. They weren't out till 1886 is the first board that we can find that actually was being used. So the Civil War really did something interesting to the whole spiritualist movement. Because it was in the United States and our whole country's fighting, and there was so much mass carnage, so much death, so much destruction, people really looked towards the spiritualist movement to get messages from their loved ones. They just lost their brothers, their fathers, or, the family. And so that really pushed the spiritualist movement to step it up. And so the Ouija board is kind of a product of that time of mass carnage, because it was one tool that they created that you could just communicate with the deceased and your loved ones and get messages from them. Another time, and thank you for the Civil War question, that's great. And another time that the board really took off was in World War I, World War II. And so you would see people using the boards because now they didn't have to go to somebody else to get these messages. They could do it themselves. So yes, war really affects the boards and use of them.
Zune wants to know, do you have a Chinese board? No,
but I want to say they are out there with boards with different languages on them. There's Spanish ones. There's some Russia. Some of these are one-offs. I've seen a Chinese one in China. The characters, I think it's what you guys call it, characters. And then I've seen them in other languages. People make them themselves. And some of them are sold. Like you'll see some from Canada. They'll have some Canadian words in it, like I guess French words, right? French words, and then Spanish words. Now I've seen a Braille board. Is that cool? One of my colleagues, Talking About Historical Society, Rick Schreck, he made a Braille board where you use your fingers. People, listen to this, you guys. I have friends that just use their finger as the planchette, and they let their hand move automatically, and they feel it move. And so the Braille board, you do the same thing, and there's a hole where you could feel the letters, so you know which letter it is. It's all done in Braille. We had that one at Michigan Paracon a few years ago. But yeah, you can get boards in different languages. You can make them yourself. Why not?
Why not?
That's right. Why not?
Typical Watch is asking, Karen, are you a witch?
I don't claim any kind of label. I don't call myself a psychic. I don't say I'm a medium, although I do that work. I would call myself a healer. I would call myself open to the universe. I would call myself a channel of love. So whatever that means, people want to say I'm a witch because the Ouija boards, because I do like to wear witch hats sometimes. Because of Halloween. I love Halloween. But listen, I have a lot of friends who are into Wicca and truly practice the craft. I don't. But I would consider myself maybe a closet witch because I have a broom in my closet.
All right.
I'm a witchy woman, okay? Aren't we all? I know
problem.
a lot of you guys out there are witches and warlocks yourself.
Okay, quickly here. Jordan is asking, what does red jasper stone do for? Or what is it for? I just bought a necklace with one. It's shaped like a scribe pendant.
I love it. I have a beautiful red jasper stone too. Jasper can be for grounding. And the red also works for your lower chakra. You're like grounding, like I said, get your roots into the ground. I love when I wear that. It does make me feel grounded. So you guys, stones are fantastic. It's a great way as a talisman. They also conduct energy and hold energy. When you get these stones, start researching them. And even those some people say, oh, this is what this means. Find out what it means for you on your body. Okay. So my jasper for me, when I wear it, I feel like I use it as a power piece when I communicate because it's on my throat chakra, like this crystal is. It's a red for the grounding again. I feel very solid in what I'm saying. So you can use these to help you and augment your day. So yeah, I love red jasper. I mean, I love every stone, I think.
30 seconds. Tell everybody where they can find your YouTube channel and your books.
You guys, thank you so much for having me, Dave. It's been an awesome pleasure to be here. Find me at KarenADahlman.com, Karen A. Dahlman on YouTube. You guys go to my website, join my newsletter. It talks about when I'll be at the next show or whatever I'm doing. If you could come out next May when I'm in Virginia, I sit down with everybody that comes to my workshop, and I'm going to teach you how to use the board. You get to use it with me. And every workshop I've done, you guys, I've got it successful where people get the planchette moving. So anyway, great being here. You guys come join me, and thank you so much for your wonderful questions and for having me.
We love you, Karen A. Dahlman. We really do.
Thank you.
You know, you make it a lot of fun here on the show, and we'll talk to you hopefully before next October. But we love you, and you always have time here for us, and we have time for you. All right, coming up next, we're going to warm up the Magic 8 Ball. Let's see if it'll be nice this week after being a real jerk last week. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Karen A. Dahlman. Love you. Love you. Great show. She's typing. I don't know if she can hear us anymore. She can. She's typing. What is she typing? She's typing a message into the chat room. Karen, good night.
Good night, you guys. I wanted to say goodbye, everybody.
We love you. We
Love you
absolutely
too.
love
Okay.
you.
Good night.
We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye. Love her. Love her. She is amazing. You know what? She never fails and never forgets that we try and get her on Halloween. And hopefully next year we'll get to get back to that. But I'm hoping that next year we can get back to our Halloween tradition with Karen doing readings. Mm-hmm. That'll be a good story for Willie. Yeah, that's good. That's a good story, too. Shirky Poo's got good stories today. I trust you, dirty filth. Damn it, I trust you. Uh-huh. You gonna be nice tonight? Your sources say no. Wow. Shirky Poo's news. Let's see here. We got a little bit of time. Good times. Good times. I may have to. If this ball keeps acting up, I may have to make a drive into Walmart. Get a new one. I'm doing good. My throat is killing me, typical watch. It's like day 2. I feel great during the day. At night, don't feel very good. Mm-hmm. We got 1 minute here. Good night, chillin' villain. Did you guys see that Pete O'Hara come into the chat room and just start lambasting us, calling us a bunch of fucking idiots? That wasn't very nice. I don't like people like that. All right, big thank you to Dirty Filth, Jennifer, and Sally for the great super chats tonight. We really do appreciate it. Ed Parnell, good to see you, bud. Welcome to the show. Here we go, everyone. Let's rock and roll. One final time. Let's do it. Rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and checking out our swag. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Let's get to it. The Magic 8 Ball time. All right, Magic 8 Ball time, where we warm up the Magic 8 Ball, answer your questions as we get all psychic and intuitive here. And we're going to start off tonight with our good friend RB, who is asking, Magic 8 Ball, are gnomes the most evil little creatures on Earth? And the answer is all clear. You could be right on.
At Capella University, education is as smart as the world around us. With the FlexPath format, you can take classes at your own pace, set your own deadlines, and even leverage your previous experience to move faster. Now that's smart. Learn more at capella.edu.
Now that football season's here, it's time to put some serious thought into what you'll be ordering from Uber Eats. Whatever's on your game day menu this NFL season, Uber Eats has you covered. They'll deliver whatever you order quickly and just how you want it, so you can stay in the game. Tonight, I'll be eating Uber Eats, the official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Uber Eats is bringing you game day deals all season. Order now.
On that one, you could be right on that one. Don't piss off the gnomes or the fairy realm in general. You're going to have a bad day if you do. Let's go to Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. She's asking, Magic 8 Ball, will Dave get a new plaid shirt for Christmas. God, I hope so. I'm way too Canadian not to get one. All right. Signs point to yes. Yes. I'm looking forward to that. I will rock it. I will. Even though I've only used my chainsaw once this year. That's okay. I will make it happen. All right. Brazel is asking, Magic 8 Ball, does milk taste better warm? That just sounds terrible. You know, I never used to understand all the 80s sitcoms. You ever notice, like, whether it was the Facts of Life or Different Strokes, there was oh, well, let me get you some warm milk. Warm milk is terrible. Oh, Magic 8 Ball, what do you say? Low batteries, Magic 8 Ball is not a fan of warm milk at all. Not a fan whatsoever. I don't blame it either. All right? Don't blame it either. All right. RB is asking, Magic 8 Ball, is breakfast for dinner just the greatest thing ever? Levels are positive. Really? Really, people? Don't even get me started on the whole debate, breakfast foods for dinner. Don't like it. It's disgusting. Warm milk, first of all, and now breakfast for dinner. I don't know. Look at that. The gorgeous Amy Vegas O. Hello to you. Will Derek get a hold of me on hanging out? Derek, censors say no. Amy O, censors say no. It's because he doesn't spell his first name properly. He's Derek. Derek, not Derek. Derek. Zero Cool, does Brandon Fugel of Skinwalker Ranch like to eat at Sizzler? Magic 8 Ball says, not today, Sheriff. I think his bank account shows that he can eat a hell of a lot more better than at Sizzler. Just saying. Davey, Magic 8 Ball, is breakfast better than dinner? Well, I mean, a good omelet for breakfast. You get a nice Denver omelet with some hollandaise sauce and some nice shredded hash browns. That's good. Throw some hot sauce on there. Oh, it's delightful. Delightful. Is breakfast better? Battery's low. Nope, Magic 8 Ball prefers dinner. Hey, I gotta go with what it says, man. All right. Sandra, who's waiting to become a grandma. Hi, Grandma Sandra. Hi, Grandma Sandra. Hi, Grandma Sandra. Is my daughter, not mine, is Sandra's daughter having a boy? My sources say no. Gonna have a little girl there running around, Grandma Sandra. You're gonna love every minute of it, too. Every minute. Mondak, does Dave have a secret crush on Shania Twain and her music? Of course I do. Not so much the music. Shania Twain? Oh, yeah. Always. She's a Canadian princess. Not today, Sheriff. Oh, go screw yourself, 8 Ball. You don't know what you're talking about with my crushes. All right. Nicola is asking, will Dave try the all-day breakfast buffet in Las Vegas? You people are sick. Absolutely sick. Levels are positive. No, I will not. All right. Peppa is asking, has Giorgio Tsoukalos from Ancient Aliens cut his hair? You have my pity. He has. Let's see here. RB, will David Gilmour and Roger Waters collaborate on a new Pink Floyd album and tour? God, let's hope so. You know, I actually saw Roger Waters back in, when was it, 2014? 2014. I had 19th row on the floor at BC Place Stadium for the 30th anniversary of The Wall. One of the greatest shows I've ever seen. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. The answer is, my sources say no. Let's just pray for that one, though. Let's pray for that one, because we need to. Behoff, 8-Ball, has Dave been practicing power chords 30 minutes a day like he should? It's more like 15 minutes, by the way. But yeah. Reply Hazy, try again. There are a couple days I skip. Not gonna lie. But I'm getting to it. Let's see. Who else we got here? Waiting for some Magic 8-Ball. Crow Creek is asking, 8-Ball, will Dave get to go to the MUFON conference? You have my pity. Probably not. I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm actually battling an uphill battle from a few years ago. Like, Tom Whitmore is a good buddy of mine. He's on the MUFON board. But there's a few people on MUFON who don't like me because I called them out a few years ago. They thought it was unfair. I was too rough. Because I called it like it is. It's not all incense and peppermints here. Can't handle the truth. Get out of the game. Right? That's what I say. All right. Yeah. Roger Waters and David Gilmour, are they still feuding? Jose wants to know. All clear. I thought that was all clear. I did. I thought it was all clear. They've actually patched things up a few years ago. RB is asking, is Science Bob a secret gigolo in his spare time? Good question. Let's find out. Science Bob, he has all those alter identities. It is decidedly so. Science Bob is a secret gigolo. All right. Sandra wants to know, would Dave go to a Justin Bieber concert with Teresa, who's a big Bieber fan? Infinitely yes. He's Canadian. I got to support him. I'll just wear earplugs and play some Pink Floyd and Guns N' Roses in my ears. Behoff is asking, is the fake UFO attack happening in 2022? Not today, Sheriff. No, it is not, because there is no red flag. There is none. None. Nope. The possibility of a UFO red flag event, not happening. Not at all. All right, moving on. TFE. 8-Ball, will my attachment finally stay gone? You have my pity. May come back one more time, but I'm only feeling one more time. You're okay with that, though. Crow Creek is Chad Smith, the real Chad Smith. Signs point to yes. Yes, Chad Smith is the real Chad Smith. Look at that, people. Look at that. Pepe H. Does Fedora John from the Unbiased UFO Report own another hat? I don't think he does. We'll find out, though. My sources say no, says the Magic 8-Ball. So, John, if you're listening, let us know if you have another hat. All right. Zero Cool is asking, will anybody in the YouTube chat be abducted by aliens by the end of the year? All right, here we go. Ask again later. I think it's going to happen. I really do. Really do think it's going to happen. All right. Let's go to another question. Joey, will next year be better than this one? And Magic 8 Ball says, it is decidedly so. I think 2 years of hell is enough, don't you? Me too. Me too. That's enough of this crap. Let us live. Let us live already. RB, will Matthew McConaughey become the next governor of Texas? You may rely on it. All right. See what else we got here from our listeners asking questions to the Magic 8 Ball. All right. Race fan wants to know, did the EBEs really tell Demi Lovato that they don't like being called aliens? Good question, race fan. And the answer is yes and beyond. Really? They did not. She hasn't even talked to him. All right. SuperQuest wants to know, will the Milwaukee Bucks repeat as NBA champions? Levels are positive, Quest. Levels are positive. Put your money down on it. $10, man. All right. Let's see here. Any other questions? Zero Cool, did Angeli cancel on another radio show to spend time with aliens? Intel looks good. Well, look at that. Look at that. Yeah. The last two answers to this, I got to check some. Are you just goofing around right now? Are you being sarcastic, Magic 8 Ball? You have my pity. Well, of course, so you are being a jerk right now again. All right. RB is wondering if Blue Oyster Cult will finally make the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They should not get in before Iron Maiden, by the way. They should not get in. I am so disappointed the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame put the Go-Go's in this year. Seriously, the Go-Go's had like 3 songs. 3 songs. And they get in the Hall of Fame. I mean, could we not all have enough of Our Lips Are Sealed? Why does that need to be in the Hall of Fame? And Iron Maiden and Judas Priest are not. Will Iron Maiden make the Hall of Fame in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame next year? Infinitely yes. Hopefully they get it right. All right. Let's ask Blue Oyster Cult. Are they going in? Out of fuel. Try again later. Okay, a couple more questions. Chris Moe in Austria. Will the triangle show up soon? Because you promised it. My sources say no. All right. Luke is asking, will Demi Lovato abduct a human? Don't count on it. All right. I think that's about it. Thank you, Magic 8 Ball, for being somewhat normal tonight. Let's get to Shirky Poo's news, shall we? The news is always changing, and Shirky Poo takes good care of us. Stories each and every night. We're going to start off in Florida, because we haven't had a good Florida man story in a while. Florida man was put in jail after he decided to improvise during an alleged robbery at a Madison Waffle House, according to deputies. Yeah, sheriff's office said a Waffle House employees called them to the restaurant after a man identified as 28-year-old Edward William Rodriguez tried to rob them. Sheriff David Harpenter said that witnesses told deputies that Rodriguez entered the Waffle House with a small dog, pointed his hands... What's this? He pointed his hands into finger guns, pew pew, and yelled, "Get on the ground, you're all getting robbed." Rodriguez then said he was high and drunk before grabbing some napkins and leaving the store. Deputies found the would-be armed robber at his home, where he admitted to robbing the restaurant of its napkins. According to the sheriff's office, he now faces charges for unarmed robbery and assault. Good job, Florida man. Pew pew. How's this? A Grateful Dead t-shirt from the band's original merchandise was auctioned off for a record-breaking price. The 1967 shirt, sold as part of Sotheby's from the Vault property from the Grateful Dead and Friends, sold for $17,640, setting a new world record for the most money spent on a vintage rock shirt. The previous record was set when a vintage Led Zeppelin shirt was sold for $10,000 on eBay. The Grateful Dead shirt was one of the band's first pieces of official merchandise and was designed by Alan Gut Turk. Turk was a Hells Angel and graphic artist who was a prominent figure in California's counterculture movement in the 60s. The winning bidder, Bo Bushnell, operates the Outlaw Archive, a card account on Instagram, which is dedicated to 1960s motorcycle culture. Sorry about that. Losing my voice. Bushnell wrote on the page that he just purchased a shirt to keep the memory of Gut Turk alive. Very nice. Very nice. Moving on. All right. Here's one for Big Willie, or Bearded Wonder here. In Germany, they have discovered a 1,500-year-old grave of a 40 to 50-year-old man who was buried in luxury with a horse and fine weapons, and an intricately carved ivory comb that he used for his beard. Yeah. The team also uncovered a second grave holding the remains of a slightly younger woman who was buried with ornate grave goods. Including a ceramic bowl from North Africa. They're not sure how the objects were found in Central Europe, but sometimes that's just the way it goes. Let's get to the thought of the day. Today's thought of the day is as follows. What's your thoughts on the Ouija board? Don't mess with it, says Danny. It gives you bad juju. Carol, I think you have to have some strong intent to communicate with something, and evil might come through. Andrew, we don't have them in the UK. I would love to try one. Allison, it's a tool. A hunk of wood, resin, whatever it's made of. There is no difference in using this or any other device to communicate with spirits. Amy, I don't mess with those things ever. Mike, proceed with caution. Gwen, bad. No touchy. And Caden, just a tool that can be used to communicate as any other piece of equipment. Intent is everything, says Alex. The board itself is just wood or plastic with no more power than your shower curtain. Focus, cultural expectations, intrinsic ability to connect to paranormal modalities are what's important. Grant, much of the 12 steps and 12 traditions came off a board. Thanks, Grant. And we want to say thank you to everyone participating in the show tonight, including Karen Dahlman, our wonderful, wonderful guest. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brothers watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone just shooting around in our chat rooms tonight. Glad you had a good time.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for playing with us, because together, my friends,
make a mistake. We're watching.
We own the night.
We watch you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
At Capella University, education is as smart as the world around us. With the FlexPath format, you can take classes at your own pace, set your own deadlines, and even leverage your previous experience to move faster. Now that's smart. Learn more at capella.edu.
Now that football season's here, it's time to put some serious thought into what you'll be ordering from Uber Eats. Whatever's on your game day menu this NFL season, Uber Eats has you covered. They'll deliver whatever you order quickly and just how you want it, so you can stay in the game. Tonight, I'll be eating Uber Eats, the official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Uber Eats is bringing you game day deals all season. Order now,